And with that, happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome into a special edition of the MI6 Sports Network in our 2020 and first annual Halloween Spooktacular alongside the Judge Mathis and Niners quarterback Nick Mullins, the winter soldier, joining you here today from somewhere, I don't know where I'm even at. Of course, folks, as a reminder, this is going to be a multi-hour event, so it's not going to be just for an hour or so, but we're looking at maybe a 2 to 3 hour get-together. But again, folks, great to have you aboard here tonight. It is, again, the MI6 Sports Network. Once again, folks, celebrates, for one, Halloween, but also celebrates a number of months of great success. We'll first go to our resident judge, our good buddy, Jonathan Mathis, joining us here tonight. John, good to see you, buddy. And we love the get-up, man. We kind of had an idea, but we're so glad you chose Judge Mathis. Good to see you, John. Happy Halloween. How's it going tonight?
Happy Halloween, fellas. Isn't this quite fitting with Mathis being my last name that I chose to be Judge Mathis for Halloween? And I'm not only Judge Mathis, I'm Judge Mathis's cousin. You know, I'm his second cousin. So, hey, I'm Judge Mathis tonight. Hey, let's get the show on the road. Let's order in the court, baby. Order in the court. Order in the court.
This trial is now going to session. We also, folks, say hello to Niners quarterback Nick Mullins. That, of course, is our good buddy Isaiah Leung from the Garage Studios up in Fremont, California. Isaiah, good to see you, man. I know that you and I were, or you more so had more problems figuring out a costume more so than I did. Good to see you, though, man. How we doing tonight?
Good to see you, Callan. Good to see you, John. I had a lot of trouble actually figuring out a costume because I just had so many ideas and I didn't know what to be. So I had to, spend the last couple of hours just narrowing it down. I was originally going to be a fireman yesterday, but after the whole incident with the pizza that happened at my house yesterday, I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. And also I was going to be I wanted to be Santa Claus today, but I guess my guy, Anthony Rebejo, one of my good friends, talked me out of it because he was like, you're going to be Santa on Halloween? Are you kidding me? That's a travesty, man. So he talked me out of it. So I just decided, hey, I got the Nick Mullins face mask on Google Docs. Why not just be Nick Mullins, the best quarterback on the San Francisco 49ers? That's right, I said it. So here I am, man. I'm the Niners quarterback, Nick Mullins. And also, Callan, John, for tonight's show, I got something very special prepared. Look at this. Look at, we got donuts right here with an egg tart, Halloween donuts. We've got pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. We've got pumpkin pie. We've got a bottle of cider. I'm good to go, man. I got all this stuff ready to hang out for the next 3 hours with y'all.
Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite.
Also, folks, joining us tonight as well, it is Jason from Friday the 13th. That, of course, folks, is the resident executive producer of the MI6 Sports Network, our good buddy. That is our buddy, Shareable Stephen Wayne, joining us. Shareable Steve, we love the get up, man. A lot of people actually, I saw someone leaving Spirit Halloween down here in San Diego on Friday night, walking out with a Jason hockey jersey to wear for his costume. But good to see you, though, Stephen. Thanks for being here. How's it going tonight? O-H-I-O.
Listen, man, Ohio State still rules over the Big Ten. I'm happy to be joining you here tonight, Callan, Judge Mathis, and Nick Mullins, who has turned his camera off in embarrassment because he can't face a real defense and the Ohio State University. But great win by my Buckeyes tonight. Otherwise, I would have gone in there and slain them if they had lost the game. Instead, we slay the Nittany Lions. I mean, come on, these are mini Lions. We don't really care about them. We got off to a great start and never look back, and I'm happy to be part of this spooktacular.
Damn
And
you,
again,
Xfinity.
and again, folks, as a reminder, this again, folks, is going to be, as I nearly chopped my hair off with this knife in my hand. But again, folks, as a reminder here, again, this is once more a very special night for all of us here on the MI6 Sports Network. Again, we're coming here for one to, of course, talk sports, plenty of college football, NFL football news, big news of the day on this program. But also, folks, as time does go on tonight, throughout the course of the show, we'll also be here again, and once more, we'll be having more members of our group and actually of the cast and crew here joining us as this event goes on. Once more, again, this is going to be a very lengthy, about 2 to 3 hour program here. Again, pretty much a virtual Halloween party mixed in with our usual sports programming, but also we'll be stepping back a bit and kind of reflecting on the past several months of success here for the MI6 Sports Network. And again, folks, we thank you all very much for being here and for joining us here for the next several hours here. But again, right now we got John, we got Isaiah, and Cheryl Steven, of course, yours truly, Cal McClurg here in the program tonight. But again, we'll have plenty more guests, and again, more of our cast and crew joining us as this program does move on. With that, guys, some viewer content from the foolish mortals that are the MI6 audience. Of course, our good buddy John Alcorn watching. What's up, y'all? Of course, John, good to see you. Also, Casey King says, hello, gang. Good to be with you all tonight. Of course, Casey, we thank you very much for joining us each and every night here. Even on vacation, Casey still joins us on the program. Chardol wanted to say hello to quarterback Nick Mullins of the Niners tonight. Glad to have Nick aboard the program. And also, John says, what the fart is Isaiah wearing? Nick Mullins. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Facepalm. Chardol enjoys the Winter Soldier get up again. I really don't dress up a lot for Halloween, but I had this lying around and just picked up some makeup to give myself a couple of black eyes and this pocket knife, because I guess Hydra will not attack Steve Rogers with a pocket knife, but here we are. Also, Chardol compliments Mr. Mathis on the Judge Mathis costume. And also, real quick, John says about Isaiah, out of all the ideas, Isaiah, you picked Nick Mullins. You could have gone to the Halloween store. Isaiah, what gives, buddy? Come on now.
Well, I mean, I couldn't really go to the Halloween store because I've been busy all week. So I just tried to put something together right at the last minute. I have a Nick Mullins jersey. I have like this face that I have on Google Docs. I was like, you know what? Why not just, put this together and, be Nick Mullins for the night? I mean, Nick Mullins is my favorite quarterback on the San Francisco 49ers, and a guy that I think should be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, but that's a different topic for a different day.
And also, folks, we welcome in another one of our members here of the MI6 family. That is our good buddy Trevor Williams joining us. Trevor, you don't exactly know the costume, but we know you came from a watch party for the Ohio State Buckeyes to knock off Penn State. Trev, happy Halloween, buddy, and thanks for being here tonight.
No problem. Great win by Ohio State. Fantastic. So, I'm being an Ohio State Buckeye fan for Halloween this year. So, some easy and simple this year. So, coming from the party and now going on for the stream. So, it's like that meme where it's like, I go off to work at 5, got a party at 6. So that's basically how it works for me today.
Well, Trevor, we gave you the name of OSU's #1 fan because all of us here are using the costumes we're using as our names tonight. Like, for example, Shareable Steve is going as Jason from Friday the 13th. But again, folks, as a reminder, we'll be here for a multi-hour event tonight. So again, hang tight, grab some coffee or grab some alcohol, grab your favorite drink or whatever, and hang out with us here again. We will talk some sports, but again, we'll also be sharing plenty of stories though about, of course, the MI6 Sports Network. Again, we're celebrating, folks, tonight over 1,400 Anchor podcast listens, surpassing the 1,000 mark earlier this month and back in late September. And also, we're going to be talking about all the programs, and of course, we'll have plenty more about that as this again multi-hour event does roll on tonight. But again, folks, we'll be having more of our cast and crew joining us as the night does progress. With that, guys, let's actually talk some college football tonight. We'll get started with a couple of the big games, and we'll first start, guys, with the Ohio State-Penn State game. The reason why we were so late getting on air tonight, as mentioned, with the Buckeyes beating Penn State pretty handily tonight, 38-25 from Happy Valley. Trevor, we'll start with you because, of course, man, I've been kind of in my studio here for one, getting this costume put together with, the black eyes, the mask, and the whole ordeal here for the Winter Soldier, but also trying to get stuff together for the program here. But it just seemed like, though, that Trevor, if anyone had any doubts maybe about Ohio State maybe being tested by Penn State, all those went out the door in this game tonight as Penn State wins this game, I'd say pretty convincingly, over Penn State 38-25. Trevor, give us your thoughts here as the Buckeyes move now to 3-0, or 2-0, I should say, 2-0 on the Big Ten season.
I was saying this was probably going to be the game that would test Ohio State offense and defensively, but like at the start of the game, they were in the driver's seat from pretty much the whole game, and Ohio State just showed them why they are a playoff caliber team compared to Penn State. Like Penn State only got 6 points at half. That's phenomenal for Ohio State, though you had that weird call where Justin Fields takes a knee and ends up becoming turnover on downs and having 1 second left and giving Penn State an opportunity to kick a field goal. I was talking to my friends, like that play could have cost Ohio State the game if the game went south for us. But nope, we took care of business, and now we're basically going to control the Big Ten East unless, the team up north has something to say about it. But since they lost to Michigan State, this is our basically division to lose.
Steve, I think Trevor's right, though. This has become it's become the Buckeyes division to lose now because Michigan cannot get out of their own way, though. I believe I saw a stat that Jim Harbaugh, will have more about this game, though, but that Harbaugh is a combined 1-6, I believe, in his career against Sparty and against Ohio State in his career. But as we said, though, Steve, pretty much, though, man, Ohio State now, this is now their division to lose tonight again, or for the remainder of the year, though. Justin Fields has looked sensational. Offenses look great, though. Again, 38 points put up, though, on what seemed to be very, stricken Penn State ball club tonight. Steven, overall takeaways as the Buckeyes move to 2-0 now, and probably, I think now, really run the roost right now in their division for the Big Ten Conference.
Well, first of all, I wanted to address Chardal, who is a zombie baseball player.
Love it.
For his Halloween costume. Absolutely love it. Shout out to you. Technically, I'm like a zombie hockey player in Jason Voorhees. So bring it on, buddy. Bring it on. I'm not afraid of you, just like Ohio State and afraid of Penn State. But, Callan, to get to your point, this was a game where Ohio State really demonstrated all the hype from the beginning of the season. This was their division to lose regardless of what happened tonight, as long as they won the game. And then they came out strong and pretty much did what they were expected to do, impose their will on the line of scrimmage. And you're seeing more and more in college football specifically, and even at the NFL level, that the line of scrimmage is everything. Penn State, they had drives moving, but that was after Ohio State had completely stifled them in the first half to open up a lead, stops them on a pivotal 4th and 2, and goes in and scores a touchdown to go up 14-0. This was a game that started out a lot like actually the Clemson game from last year in the heartbreaking Fiesta Bowl loss. But the difference here is the Nittany Lions aren't quite up to par with the Tigers. They don't have an elite quarterback like Trevor Lawrence to bring them back, and it showed tonight. Sean Clifford forced the issue. He made some decent plays trying to extend the play and extend field position, but when you are going up against an avalanche of a defensive line and then an offensive line on the defensive end that Penn State was, they were just clearly outmatched. This game was a lot less close than it was supposed to be. This should have been a 20-point win for the Buckeyes, but we will take the 13-point hounding on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Bring on the Tigers, baby. Roar!
Isaiah, I think, though, what Steve's onto a very valid point, though, buddy, in regards to, maybe Ohio State probably looking at this game and things like that. But as Steven said, though, it could have been a lot worse, though, than maybe a 13-point win, though. Maybe Ohio State kind of keeping the Nittany Lions in this ball game here tonight. But as mentioned, though, Ohio State, though, as we've already talked about, though, looks to be now the clear-cut favorites to win their division championship now, as mentioned, with Michigan going down earlier on Saturday. And again, just that division not looking up to par right now. Isaiah, give us your thoughts here as Ohio State again knocks off Penn State 38-25 from Happy Valley here tonight on this Saturday in Happy Valley.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Safeway, your pumpkin pie has officially usurped Costco's pumpkin pie as the best pumpkin pie ever, man. Like, come on, man. This is so good. I wish you guys could try it with me. But
yes! Yes! Yes!
My thoughts on this game is that Ohio State, they were the better team in this game. I wasn't impressed by Penn State after their terrible showing against Indiana, but Ohio State just controlled this game from start to finish. Ohio State they controlled the game from start to finish. There was never any doubt in my mind that Ohio State was going to win this game. Ohio State just looked like the more dominant team offensively, defensively, especially in the trenches, like Steven mentioned. And oh my, that guy, Garrett Wilson, who I said was a beast last week when we had Rachel L. Hill on, this guy continues to prove me right when I call him a stud. This guy was out there making plays. He was out there blocking very well. This guy's going to be a future first-round pick in the NFL. I am very impressed by him. And also, kudos to Penn State for fighting back in the end. But there was just never a doubt that Ohio State was going to win this football game, especially with no whiteout in the stadium. And also, with Penn State just stricken with a lot of injuries.
Judge Mathis, I think, though, that Isaiah is right, though, in regards to this ball game, as mentioned, Penn State, again, the crowd not being a factor in Happy Valley on Saturday, again, the restrictions in place about capacity, and again, not that type of same feel for a big game for Penn State at home, though. We're so used to seeing the whiteout whenever they play a big opponent. As we already pretty much touched base on here, Judge Mathis, Ohio State's offense just looks to be super lethal. Again, great running backs, as we have somewhat touched base on over the past several programs here with, how Ohio State and how the Big Ten has been known for so many great running backs coming out of the conference over the past several years, though. And now you have Ohio State with Justin Fields, but also Master Teague also being another one that it looks to be like, that the Big Ten should become running back, like the official conference of great star running backs, from Elliott, Jonathan Taylor, just like the main two I can think of. But, John, give us your thoughts here. As mentioned, Ohio State winning over Penn State pretty handily, 38-25 from Happy Valley on Halloween night.
Well, now that the Buckeyes have improved to 2-0 on the season, it's still a young season, but the Buckeyes have clearly reinserted themselves as a legitimate contender in the Pac-10, and clearly they're the best team in the Pac-10. They are a powerhouse football team led by Justin Fields, who's completely dominant at the quarterback position. For someone who plays at the most important position in football, he has shown great leadership. He has held this team together with his ability to play quarterback. I like what I'm seeing from him. I think he has made his case after just 2 games that he is definitely in the running for a Heisman Trophy. And then Master Teague, he has shown tremendous growth in week 2. He carried the ball efficiently, tore it up on the ground, was just spectacular and fun to watch. This team is improving by the week, and that is scary, what we're seeing from this team. But their defense was really impressive. Their defense was able to stifle, the Penn State Indy Lions. They took control of this game from start to finish. They didn't really give Penn State much of a chance to even compete. They couldn't keep up with them. Penn State looked defeated early on, and they just couldn't get anything going really on offense. Justin Fields for Ohio State, he's dangerous. He led that passing attack, which was phenomenal tonight. And Teague individually in this game, Master Teague, the master that he is, ran for 105 yards, and he had a touchdown on 22 carries. Just amazing. And Sermon, am I pronounced his name right? Trey Sermon? Sherman, see, I always butcher somebody's name, right? Well, he tallied 56 yards on 13 carries. So the running game was impressive. And I think with a strong running game behind Justin Fields, that takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback. But Justin Fields has shown that he can handle the pressure and big moment situations. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a hell of a quarterback at Clemson, but let's not overlook Justin Fields and what he can do on the football field. He is capable of doing some amazing things this season, and don't be surprised if he is better than Trevor Lawrence this year. I wouldn't be surprised by it. I think he's on to something here. I think Day has these boys playing really well. They know what's expected of them. And once again, Ohio State is at the top of the mountain in college football.
And in the Big Ten for sure, and especially with their division being how it's been so far. Some more thoughts, guys. We're not getting a chance to get to all the comments. First and foremost, Christy Wilson writing in on this Halloween night. Hello, guys. Good costumes. Thank you all. We do have Shree with us, but we have not seen Shree's costume just yet, but we'll get to him in just a moment here. I want to get through some of the comments first from the Foolish Mortal viewers tonight on the program. Bryce Russo writing in. Hello, everybody. And happy Halloween. Always enjoyed tuning in. Big game for the Pats. Tomorrow we'll have more NFL coverage in just a few moments here. Our resident Buckeye fan in the chat box on the MI6 page, Austin Morrison, saying go Bucks. Definitely agree. Austin does have one thought to pass along about the game. Secondary, a little shaky tonight, but pleased with the performance overall, especially with how the offenses look through 2 games so far on the season. Casey King says Ohio State looked good, and Penn State definitely looks like it will be an overhyped team this year. So bad that he switched the game over to watch the UNLV Nevada Reno game in his office. Ohio State should roll through their conference. I think a lot of people have those same exact sentiments. Christie also says, I think that Ohio State made a statement with this victory over Penn State tonight. And Christie, in regards to Isaiah eating pie already, I will wait until Thanksgiving to have pumpkin pie. With that, guys, one very quick question here from Austin Morrison. Mr. Mathis, we'll start with you. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, though. Thoughts on maybe Justin Fields being a Heisman front runner, even with 2 games under his belt played this season? Mr. Judge Mathis, what's the verdict on this?
Yes, I would say that he's definitely the front runner for the Heisman trophy this year. As we've seen in recent years, quarterbacks have dominated when it comes to this prestigious award. And I think Justin Fields is right now leading in that category. I definitely see him winning the Heisman Trophy. If he keeps playing like this, and especially if this team goes undefeated, being that it's in the Pac-10 conference, I think he has a great chance of winning the Heisman. That's not, again, to take anything away from Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a wonderful quarterback and could end up going number 1 in the upcoming NFL draft. But let's not overshadow how great of a quarterback Justin Fields is. Justin Fields has the chance to go high in the upcoming NFL draft too, because of his athleticism, because of his agility, because of his speed, and because of his ability to pass the football as well. He can hurt you in so many ways. He can hurt you with his feet. He can hurt you with his arm. He's a smart quarterback. He has a great IQ for the game. You know, he makes smart decisions with the football, doesn't really turn it over much. Look, tonight he was sacked twice. What did he do? He responded to that adversity, kept playing his game, and Ohio State was able to win that game. He has done a tremendous job rallying those boys, rallying his troops, and they have gone to work week in and week out, and they look like the team to beat in the country right now. And I would go out on a limb and say that he might be the best quarterback in the country, if not the most exciting quarterback in the country right now.
So, Isaiah, give us your thoughts here about Austin's question. I think Judge Mavis hit the nail on the head, or at least hit the gavel on the head in this case about the thoughts about Justin Fields. Yes, the hammer has been dropped. The verdict is in about Justin Fields. Nick Mullins, what say you about Justin Fields perhaps being the front runner despite him playing 2 games right now on the young Big Ten college football season? Mr. Mullins, you're muted.
right now, I think you have to give it to him, especially because Trevor Lawrence will miss the next He's gonna miss the next 2-3 weeks with COVID-19. So I think he has to be the front runner because he's still playing while Lawrence is sitting out, and he can't put up the numbers that he normally puts up. So yeah, I think he has to be the front runner. But I don't know, things can change like in a heartbeat, especially like once the Pac-12 gets going. I'm really excited to see how my guy Keaton Slovis does at USC this year. I think Keaton Slovis is a beast. This guy last year, he broke so many records as a true freshman, which was very, very impressive. So I really want to see what Keaton Slovis does. But right now, I think he has to be the favorite, given that Lawrence is sitting
Trevor,
out.
how about you in regards to Austin's question again? Thoughts that maybe Fields becomes the Heisman frontrunner despite the Big Ten only playing 2 games so far on their season?
I think he's definitely going to become a Heisman runner. But the real question is, at the end of the day, is how do you determine a Heisman Trophy winner in this weird environment where teams postpone games and may not complete all their regular season games, and the Pac-12 is starting up and playing only 6 games. So is the committee only going to select the best 6 games for each player that is contending for the Heisman Trophy? So it's going to be very interesting on how the committee ends up formatting this and selecting their Heisman candidate. But for tonight's performance in the first 2, I think Justin Fields is definitely a front runner. For the first game, only 1 incomplete pass, and tonight with over 350 yards. And I believe he almost had 3 touchdowns through the air. So not a bad night. Good pace for the Heisman right now, for sure.
We'll go over to Shareable Steve. Steve, what are your thoughts here? Again, Austin Morrison posing the question again. Thoughts on maybe Justin Fields becoming a Heisman frontrunner, even though that they've only played 2 games so far on the very young college football season?
I think he is the Heisman frontrunner. And I said this on last show. Without Dobbins in there, I know Master Teague and Trey Sermon had excellent games, and they've been progressing week to week. You are going to see a lot more quarterback runs this year than last year. Last year, they wanted to save Fields' health for the playoffs, and that's why they didn't run as many run plays as now. And without Dobbins in there, they need to integrate more running into the offense, specifically more quarterback running. You'll see a lot of draws. You'll see Fields kind of getting out of the pocket more often, and that is going to help his Heisman status. And then now with Lawrence sidelined for not only today's Boston College game, in which DJ played fantastic, he's going to be sidelined for the Notre Dame game. So we're going to have reduced data points. I think this is Fields' year to win it. He's minimizing turnovers, as Shriek says, compared to Lawrence, who's throwing more turnovers. But with that being said, I still think that Trevor Lawrence is the better pro prospect. I think he has a better base set for the NFL, and I don't think the Heisman race affects his status as the number 1 overall pick. However, clear Heisman favorite to me now has got to be Justin Fields moving forward.
And we'll now, folks, welcome in our other host joining us tonight. That is our good buddy Shri also joining us. Shri, let's get your thoughts more so. But of course, man, thanks for being here. But again, how about some thoughts here? Do you believe that Justin Fields is the Heisman frontrunner, even though that the Big Ten has only played 2 games so far on the season?
I absolutely do. I don't think there's been a player in the country that's played, as well as Justin Fields has. An interesting stat today about Justin Fields: through 2 games in the Big Ten schedule, he has as many touchdowns as he has incompletions. So he's accounted for 7 touchdowns through 2 games. He has 7 incompletions. Now, if that doesn't tell you, the type of season that this kid is having, the type of production that he's putting up, I don't know what will. He's accounted, tonight he had a stellar night, looked on point the entire night from beginning to end. He's making all the throws. He's making the right reads. They're trusting him. And in a few situations, I saw them go to him in an area where they traditionally wouldn't go to him, right? They had a 4th and 1. And instead of running the ball, I think it was in the red zone somewhere around the 15 to 20-yard line. Instead of traditionally, you'd think that they'd run the ball, do a quarterback sneak, or hand it off to the halfback. But you saw that they have ultimate trust in Justin Fields, and that's something Kirk Herbstreit was talking about. They actually drop back and pass it, and he gets it down to the 1-yard line. So I think that just the amount of trust that Ryan Day and the offensive coaches have in Justin Fields is astounding, and I think that he is definitely the front runner right now in the Heisman conversation, with Trevor Lawrence missing some games, and also Trevor Lawrence didn't really look too good against Syracuse. Even when he was playing, he did throw some interceptions. He did have some struggles completing the passes, deep throws. And Justin Fields today, again, on deep throws, he was 7 for 8 on throws over 20 yards, and he threw 2 touchdown passes out of those 7 completions, right? So he's as accurate a quarterback as there is in college football. He's as dynamic a playmaker as there is in college football, and I expect it to continue. I expect them to lean heavily on Justin Fields this year, and I expect his numbers to speak for themselves, and I think that very much so he's going to be the Heisman frontrunner now into the future. And I see the only other person giving him a run for his money being Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, and then maybe the Zach Wilson kid from BYU. But I think that he should be considered the front runner moving forward, because his performance this year to date has been way more impressive than the other players, in my opinion.
I would also lean towards Fields. I know, of course, that the schedule probably doesn't line up with everybody, but as mentioned, the Pac-12 is only playing 6 games. The Big Ten's only doing X amount of games, and again, all the different hurdles you have to jump over. But I would go with Fields despite the 2 games. I think that Trevor said it best, though, that the committee is probably going to have to look at the 6 best games, or the best X amount of games, though, that all these teams have played and these schools have played, that really make their final judgment about who actually is going to get that. Get the Heisman. Again, folks, give us your thoughts here. Again, who do you have winning the Heisman? We'll try to again read those comments live on the air as the entire program. Again, multi-hour event does in fact roll on here tonight. Of course, Mr. Mullins has to add on to his point. What do you got for us, sir?
Well, I don't want to add on to my point. I just have some breaking news for y'all, and that is we have another addition to the party tonight, and that is the cheese pizza. Finally done.
Oh my God! What is it with you and food?
I didn't know I
Bring
was
Jason Voorhees over here to assassinate all your food.
We've got a huge buffet out here. All we're missing is the prime rib. We get a prime rib in here. We're done. You can.
I have a knife.
It's more mediocre looking food.
Nick Mullins has to focus more on football and less on food.
Then maybe he'll be a serviceable quarterback.
I was going to say, I do have a knife ready. I think Jason got a knife or a bat ready in case we need to go get our own food, apparently, fellas. But thanks for the invite, Mr. Mullins. We'll be up there to raid the party pretty soon.
Yes, thanks, Mr.
Hey,
Mullins, for making me hungry
Also,
again.
if I can talk
Now I
to
wanna
a
eat.
little bit of the Ohio State game. I know you guys went over it
please
before,
do.
but as a
Please
huge
do,
fan,
please do.
I thought they played very well today. They set the tone starting early. First play of the game, 62-yard sweep play to Garrett Wilson. Up 21-3 at the half. It should be 21-3. It shouldn't have been 21-6. I think that end of the half play was completely garbage. And I don't agree with that call at all. But you know what? You get played the situation you have. So 21-6. Then you see Penn State coming back and actually getting that touchdown in the beginning of the second half, up 21-13. Now it's a one-possession game. Now how does Justin Fields and the offense respond to it? Well, they respond to it by going on a touchdown drive. And again, it's great for Ohio State because they faced some adversity in this game for the first time. It felt as if there are a few plays or a few drives or a few incompletions away from maybe having the game slip away from them. And I thought that it was really important for Justin Fields and the other leaders on this team to step up and show that, despite these Penn State throwing their best punches, we were still able to overcome that. So I don't think the game was as close as the score dictated. Every time Penn State threw a punch, we threw one back. And eventually, they were just not able to finish because of the fact that, we continued to execute wherever we needed to. We didn't let them get back in the game. They kept trying to get back in the game, and they gave it their best. And I think that Penn State team is definitely a good team. Just because they're 0-2, I wouldn't look too much into it. If they're not ranked in the next ranking, I'm not going to look too much into it because I believe that that Penn State team is a very talented team, very good defense. very, good receivers. You saw number 5 out there. I don't know what his name was, but he had some absolutely fantastic grabs. But I think that this game sets a tone for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I think that this continues onward for the rest of the season and into the playoffs, hopefully. So, just really love to see that, and just wanted to share my comments with you guys.
Yeah, and again, definitely for sure. But again, folks, Ohio State winning over the Penn State Nittany Lions 38-25 from Happy Valley on this Halloween Saturday. Some more thoughts here. James Gonzalez already had his question answered. Does Judge Mathis have his gavel? Yes, he does. We did, in fact, see that a bit earlier on in the program. He's got it handy, so as soon as he slams that thing down, we are good to go. Chardol thinks so that his favorite for the Heisman should be Kellen Mond, the quarterback of Texas A&M. Hopefully that he's able to compete for the most prestigious award in college football and also follow in the footsteps of A&M's most recent winner, Johnny Manziel. I think he wants to stay as far away from Manziel as possible with, again, his reputation on and off the field. Casey agrees with Isaiah. Please watch out for Keaton Slovis. He probably will not win it, but we'll make a push for it. And also Fields looks like the front runner right now. I think a lot of people agree as well. And also Christy wants to poke some fun at Mr. Mullins. OMG, he's got a buffet all set up. My goodness gracious. Yes, he does. And also some more comments trickling in as well. Austin actually led me to my next point here. Speaking of throwing punches, how about the brawl between Mizzou and Florida? You know, John, it's one thing that I have to go and fight off Thanos and fight off his army with the rest of the Avengers every so often, Mr. Mathis. At the same time, though, man, we know, of course, that we've seen brawls already happen in baseball. But it's one thing, though, man, that when it happens in football, it becomes a whole nother free-for-all pretty much, more so than what it is right now, Mr. Mathis. John, give us your thoughts here more so, again, to Austin's point, though. How about the thoughts about the brawl between Florida and Missouri? Again, obviously two rival schools at the same time, though, man. In a day and age, though, of an ongoing global pandemic, yikes.
Yeah, well, Colin, that's part of sports. That's part of not only professional sports, but college sports as well. If you play sports at a collegiate level, you're going to have intense moments like that one. Sometimes your emotions are running high, and then sometimes these players feel they have to vent and let off steam. And that's what happened here today. You're talking about two rival schools going head to head, and, someone might have said something, and that just provoked this whole, altercation to happen. And the next thing you know, you got guys throwing punches out there on the field. It just happens. What probably started as trash talk ensued into a physical altercation. I mean, when we see these types of things in college football, we tend to freak out over it and make such a big deal over it. We overreact because we don't really see it in college football. It's not commonplace. Usually football players take their anger out when they're on defense. Okay, I just pound you to the ground next time I see you, or something like that. But in this case, these guys were throwing punches. I mean, it was pretty intense. It was wild to see that. And, it took a few minutes for the officials and even the coaching staff to try to restrain these guys and restore some kind of order. It took a few minutes. I was like, wow, they couldn't get this under control. But, when your emotions are running high and when words are exchanged, this can happen. And it's not really that much of a surprise. But to answer your question, in the middle of a pandemic, yeah, these types of things shouldn't happen. But how can you really control a brawl? How can you really control players, especially college players? These are younger players. They're still maturing as young men. They're still developing and growing. And sometimes, they're not going to make smart decisions. Sometimes they're going to make dumb and unwise decisions, and it could cost them, sure. And then they'll learn from those mistakes. So you have to kind of expect these type of things to happen, especially in college sports.
Trevor, I think that Judge Mathis said it right, though, in regards to when we see a brawl at the college level, we instantly freak out, lose our mind, and like, what the hell's going on and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. Where I think we're obviously used to seeing it happen at the pro level again, Astros, Dodgers, and Yankees, Red Sox, and of course in hockey, basketball, it happens. But I do think, though, Trevor, that it's a valid point, though, by John saying that when we see it happen at the collegiate level, we tend to freak out. We lose our minds. I think notably, I think the most notorious brawl that's happened recently was with Kansas basketball, where he literally had that one player grab that chair from a student section, was about ready to hit someone with the chair like it was pro wrestling, and we all lost our mind about that one. Trevor, give us your thoughts here, or at least maybe a reaction, I guess. I think that John said it best, though, in regard to it being pretty much, a college brawl happens and the general public freaks out and loses their mind.
I think we've seen not brawls happen in college football, but we've seen little confrontations between the two teams before warming up. Obviously, 2 years ago in Red River, Texas and Oklahoma were at each other's necks, and they've all been giving personal fouls before the start of the game. So if they had another, brawl that would end up happening, players would be ejected. Also, during last year's Ohio State-Penn State game, players were getting a little rowdy at Penn State that one year. So it's always there in college football. There's always tension when you have two potentially good teams playing each other, or when the stakes are high to try to advance within that respective schedule. So yes, it's going to happen, but at the same time, when you start seeing fists starting to fly, that's when people are going to tend to overreact. But they're getting in each other's faces. People will be saying, oh, tensions are just high. It's part of the game. And once that first punch is thrown, people just start losing everything.
Shri, I think John and Trevor are right here. John's right, though, because whenever we see a brawl happen in college sports, we tend to maybe lose our minds because, maybe there's suspensions from, the conference. Maybe they face some other suspensions from the school, maybe kind of like if you get into a fight in high school or college even, stuff like that boils over. But then Trevor brought up, though, the OU Texas game, and you had that brawl break out pregame nonetheless, where there was pushing and shoving going on. I think, though, that also Trevor's right, though, as well, Shri, because there's pushing and shoving, but then there's fists being thrown. There's guys ripping off guys' helmets and swinging them like they're baseball bats. Or again, the Kansas basketball situation, you literally have a player going over and grabbing a chair, I think, off the bench or from somewhere with one of the seats that are close by, taking a chair and using like it's pro wrestling. You had those sort of things also getting out, though, as well. Shri, any reaction or thoughts past long as mentioned? Minor scuffle, but actually pretty legitimate brawl, though, between Mizzou and Florida earlier on Saturday night.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live. I saw a replay of it, during the halftime of the Ohio State-Penn State game. And actually, I thought it was pretty funny the way Mark Sanchez reacted to it. And not often am I quoting Mark Sanchez, but he said, I quote, when I was on Rex Ryan's team, when he was on the Jets with Rex Ryan had told him, the way that you compete in a brawl when you have football, like when you're in a brawl in football, is you shove, you can push, you can do all that, but just refrain from throwing punches, because you're going to punch the other guy's helmet and you're going to injure your hand and you're going to get in trouble because you can't throw the ball next week, right? So I just thought, it's like exactly what you said, man. Like, pushing is fine. Shoving, I mean, I'm not saying it's fine, but, when you see pushing or shoving, you're like, this is kind of routine. But then when you see those like fists being thrown, when you see those hands being thrown by these players, then, you start to get into, maybe potential disciplinary actions. And I think 3 players were ejected from that game, 2 on Florida and 1 on Missouri. And I think what started it all was a huge hit on Florida's quarterback, Kyle Trask. So a lot of the Florida players were trying to stand up for their quarterback. He just got drilled on a Hail Mary at the end of the half. And, they'd felt as if Mizzou had been taking cheap shots at Kyle the entire game, and they wanted to, stand up for their quarterback. But, the way that you do that is stand up for him on the field. Now I know these guys are young men, and, they'll learn, and hopefully they won't, continue to be involved in acts like this. But I think it's a good teaching lesson for these Florida guys and even for some of these Missouri guys, that there are some consequences to your actions should you go beyond, what the physical. I know like football is a physical sport, but if you go beyond, those boundaries that are set up, then there are consequences, and there are potential ejections or, like you even said, suspensions. And for Florida, a team that's really, in the thick of competing for a spot in the SEC championship and for a spot in maybe even the college football playoff, I think that, the coach has to go in and reinforce that, we got to stay clean. We cannot have these type of mental lapses. I understand you want to stand up for your quarterback. I understand you want to stand up for your teammate, but maybe do so on the field, right? Maybe make a pancake block, or maybe get a great hit on another player, right? You don't want to go and throw punches at them, because then you can risk your eligibility and you can risk, should they have been suspended. I don't know if the SEC is going to take a look at this. I don't know if the NCAA is going to take a look at this, but if they do, and these players are suspended for next week's big matchup against Georgia, then, you lose some key players for a key matchup, right? So it just goes beyond the moment, and you got to, kind of control that temper and then use that anger to compete on the field, rather than to take it out through fighting or through other means that may be outside of those boundaries that we have established.
Stephen, I think
that's well said.
Yeah, very well said. I think, Stephen, that Shree's onto a hell of a point here. As much as Judge Mathis and OSU's #1 fan were, and also the Pats fan missing TB12 was also onto a very great tangent, though, in regards to, I think all of us, though, are probably on the same page, though, because I think we all kind of, in a way, freak out a little bit more with a brawl involving college kids than professional athletes, for one thing. But as well, though, I think, though, Stephen has mentioned that maybe the Dallas Cowboys should take some notes here about how to protect your quarterback when a guy throws a dirty hit, though, because as we saw, though, these two teams, I know it probably is, went way out of control, though. Florida handled this a lot better than a professional NFL team did, seeing their quarterback get absolutely crushed, like we saw with Andy Dalton. Again, we saw Jordan Trask get wrecked in this game, but we saw guys actually stand up for their quarterback. And yes, I know that, guys got tossed, though. But, Stephen, maybe if you can, give us your thoughts here, as mentioned, but a very ugly scene, though, in the game that I just mentioned between Mizzou and Florida, with a pretty nasty brawl towards the end of the first half of play that night.
I thought it was obvious, the kind of reaction that the team's quarterback got from some of the players. And I think Shree's right. Like, just like James and Shree says, don't punch. You're going to hurt yourself. Keep your helmets on for that reason. It's a little bit of protection against the punch. But, much love to how Florida reacted to their quarterback getting cheap shotted and everything. I thought it was a great way to do it. With the Cowboys, I do think that there's a little bit of, a little bit of leeway that's allowed, because this was Andy Dalton, a guy who maybe hadn't been with the team for as long. I understand you want to protect all your teammates, but I just think that if that was Dak Prescott, they would definitely have stood up and done something. But with Dalton still being kind of newer to the team and the situation being a Washington clear win, I think they just kind of stayed out of it for whatever reason. Not a good decision, but maybe there's a little bit of understanding there.
Maybe. I mean, I still think, though, that regardless of who the quarterback is, what the score is, you got to protect that teammate and show that you got this guy's back. Where, again, I think that's probably where I think the parallel is drawn between the Cowboys issue and then the Florida issue here in regards to the Gators actually protecting Trask, where, again, we did not see the Cowboys protect Dalton in that loss to Washington last Sunday. But, Isaiah, how about your thoughts here? As mentioned, probably a very nasty scene for the SEC, for Florida, and for Missouri. But, again, pretty nasty brawl breaking out between the two clubs here today on this Halloween night.
Yeah, I don't want to condone the brawl, because, you never want to see fights happen, whether it's in college football, NBA, MLB, NFL, etc. But I understand it. Like Shree said, the Florida quarterback Kyle Trask got absolutely crushed on I think it was on a Hail Mary play. Am I correct, Callan?
Yes.
Yeah, he got crushed on a Hail Mary play. And, when a team sees their quarterback get crushed, you're going to see that team all of a sudden rush and start pushing and shoving and throwing punches at the players that crushed him, because they are standing up and defending their quarterback, unlike what the Cowboys should have done last week on Sunday against the Washington football team, which was an absolute disgrace. And I think those players should have been cut. But I mean, like, you never want to see fights happen. You never want to see guys throwing punches. But I completely understand it. They were standing up for their quarterback.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with how things have gone here. Some thoughts, guys, real quick about the game. But first and foremost, Christy Wilson wanted to tell me to get ready for the adventures with the Falcon very soon, I hope. I'm very hopeful and optimistic about that. Also, real quick, James writes in, Missouri and Florida are just lost programs like two ugly people fighting outside a bar. Very good way to put that there. Also, as well, some more thoughts. James also has one more, fellas. Rule number 1 in a football brawl, keep your helmet on at all times. Yeah, because we've already seen, guys, some very ugly instances already with, again, the Mason Rudolph play with Myles Garrett, with his helmet being ripped off last season and other things going on. And also, Christy agrees. Still think, though, that no one had Dalton's back, or still think no one having Dalton's back was very stupid. I think I agree, and I know Mr. Mullins agrees as well. I think actually the whole panel probably agrees as well. With that, guys, move over to one more football game for college at least. Of course, Michigan and Michigan State. But first, let's, fellas, roll it back and see what happened just a couple of days ago, or maybe even a week or so ago here on the 6th.
Michigan, this is Jim Harbaugh's best team at Michigan. He finally has his quarterback. I know Callan keeps saying death, taxes, and Michigan losing Ohio State. Well, that curse is going to end this year. Michigan is beating Ohio State. They have a great offensive line. They have a great running game. The receivers finally have knowledge of that system. And Joe Milton, my oh my, was I impressed with this dude. This dude has a cannon of an arm. This guy runs like Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's like Lamar Jackson, but with a cannon of an arm. Like, this guy is going to be great. Ohio State needs to be trembling right now because the Wolverines are on their way to the Big Ten championship.
Mr. Mullins? Mr. Mullins? Care to explain yourself?
Callan, I'm feeling some sharp pain in my stomach. I think I'm going to have to take the rest of the night off, sir.
You want some ibuprofen?
How about some cheese with your wine?
I'll take a sip of this vodka.
You gotta take his pain out.
Oh, man. Don't bail out on us now. Hang in there. Hang in there.
You'll be okay, buddy.
Hail,
Mr.
hail
Mullins,
to Michigan State, the true best in Michigan.
Listen,
You know what it is.
I've been trying to avoid this segment all day today. I said all that stuff last week or this past Wednesday. I was so hyped up about Michigan. And they let me down again, man. They let me down again. So Michigan has one constant as a program. They always let you down. Callan, John, Steven, Shree, Trevor. What I witnessed today was the worst humiliation known to mankind. You lose to Michigan State. Are you freaking kidding me, Jim Harbaugh? A program that has been on a downward trajectory for the last 4 to 5 years. And just last week, they lost to Rutgers. Rutgers, one of the worst programs in all of college football, and you lose to them, not on the road in East Lansing, but in Ann Arbor at your own home. Are you freaking kidding me? Jim, hold on, before I go on, I need to take another sip. I want to take a moment right now and apologize I want to apologize to our loyal viewers for spewing that absolute rubbish BS nonsense on Wednesday on Fan Response. I've learned my lesson, y'all. Michigan is the Cleveland Browns of college football. They are a team that you can absolutely never hype up, no matter if they have one great game or they have two great games, or even if they start off 7-0. Because in the end, we all know this, Michigan will break your heart. So you can truly never hype them up. They are truly the walking piece of mediocrity, in the words of the great Stephen A. Smith. Jim Harbaugh, let me address Jim Harbaugh right now. Jim Harbaugh is a crook. He is a big, fat crook. As far as I'm concerned, Jim Harbaugh should be arrested right now for stealing the great University of Michigan's money year in and year out. This man, Jim Harbaugh, is getting paid how much money? Let's see. He's getting paid $7 to $8 million a year. What has Jim Harbaugh done to deserve that kind of money that he is getting paid? He hasn't beaten Ohio State. He has a losing record against Callan's Wisconsin Badgers. He was supposed to be this offensive guru and quarterback whisperer when they brought him in. So far, let's take a look at the quarterbacks that Jim Harbaugh has had at Michigan, and let's see how they have fared. I got the list right in front of me, y'all. Jake Rudock. Jake Rudock is first quarterback in Michigan. Jake Rudock, he did all right for the Maize and Blue. But last time I checked, the guy is currently on the practice squad of one of the worst teams in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. Then you move down to John O'Korn. The only thing that John O'Korn is known for is prior to the NFL draft, he proclaimed himself the best player in the entire NFL draft. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He didn't end up getting drafted. No team wanted him. I mean, this guy is better suited off being a comedian, because that's how funny he is. And then you move on to Shea Patterson. This guy, when you first brought in Shea Patterson, he was a highly touted transfer from Ole Miss who was supposed to be this first-round pick. He was supposed to be Harbaugh's next greatest, or his first greatest quarterback. Everybody was like, oh, Harbaugh finally has his quarterback. Michigan's finally going to go to the top of the mountain of the Big Ten. Now, let's look at how Shea Patterson is doing. Shea Patterson was supposed to be a first-round pick when he went to Michigan, but after it was all said and done, guess what happened, ladies and gentlemen? He left Michigan, and he didn't even get drafted. He didn't even get drafted. He went from first-round pick to not even being drafted. That's how far Shea Patterson has fell. From first-round pick to not getting drafted. Unfreaking believable, right, guys? So Jim Harbaugh, he can't beat his rivals. He hasn't won the Big Ten. He hasn't even gotten to the Big Ten championship game. He hasn't even gotten to the college football playoffs even once. And he is definitely not a quarterback whisperer from all those names that I just listed. And I'm sure there's more that Shree and Steven could tell you guys about, because I'm forgetting them off the top of my head. And let's look at his offensive rankings. He's supposed to be this offensive guru, right? Well, Jim Harbaugh's offensive rankings right now are consistently in the middle of the pack in the Big Ten. So this guy cannot do anything right, and yet he gets paid $7 to $8 million a year, like a top 5 head coach in college football does. Jim Harbaugh needs to be fired in Michigan. Someone in Ann Arbor. If you're watching our program, call the damn cops to arrest this crook, this absolute crook, because he is stealing money year in and year out from your program. Arrest him immediately and get this man to stop stealing money from your program. I am extremely sick to my stomach, Callan. I'm just 100% done with Jim Harbaugh. I'm done with Michigan. Done. D-O-N-E. Go ahead, John. I am done.
Hey, Isaiah, you asked me and Tree to go ahead and give our thoughts and speak them. I think I can play it a lot better than I can speak it. Guys, this is my first time playing trumpet in 4 months, but I'm going to play this song for you guys. I call it Hail to Michigan State, the true victors of Michigan. hail to Sparty, the true victors of Michigan.
Encore. That was amazing, Steven. Playing
I was a little
Bravo,
rusty, guys.
bravo.
First time in 4 months, but it's
First
the thought
time in
that
4
counts.
months playing
Just
the
the vodka
trumpet,
that
and he
Isaiah
plays it
drinks
on air for the
that
Halloween
counts.
Spooktacular. Bravo, good sir. Bravo. We'll have an encore later on as we approach the first hour being done of our Halloween Spooktacular. John, I don't know if anyone can top the rant from Isaiah, but we'll let you try to pick up the pieces. Again, as mentioned, Michigan State beats Michigan at 27-24 on Halloween.
Well, Isaiah had a mouthful, and he pretty much said everything that needed to be said. But to add to that, I'm just going to say Michigan has failed its brand in history so horrifically that, Michigan State and Ohio State have made a complete mockery out of this Michigan football program. To them, this is funny. This is very hilarious. And when you look at it from a bigger picture, Michigan football has become the laughingstock of not only the Pac-10, but of college football. It's an ugly situation for the Wolverines. I think it's time for a new coach, but I don't know what it will take for Michigan to finally face reality and come to their senses and finally realize that Jim Harbaugh is no longer that guy. I don't know what is so special about Jim Harbaugh that they want to hang on to him, that they don't just want to, disassociate themselves from him, because they're not getting it done. He has not beaten Ohio State. His team lost to a lousy Michigan State team today. That's not good for Michigan. It's an utter embarrassment. And if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'm ashamed of myself. I really am, because I have all this talent on my team and it's just not working out. Michigan lost at home at Ann Arbor, 27-24 to a 24-point underdog, Michigan State. This Harbaugh experiment in Ann Arbor has not worked. It has spiraled completely out of control. And, this team has fallen into a pit of mediocrity. It's an ugly, ugly scene right now in Ann Arbor. And I think it's just time for Michigan to come to their senses and realize that they need a change, because this is not going to get better anytime soon. It's going to get worse. Harbaugh is a good guy. I've always loved his fiery demeanor. I've always loved his character. And I think he does have the potential to be a great coach, just not at Michigan. Michigan is too much of a handful for him, I think. Michigan, and I know it was his dream job, but Michigan's not an easy job. It's one of the most difficult jobs in the country. And if you don't do well as a head coach there, you will be run out of town. And I think Michigan fans have seen enough. I think they are calling for change. They've made it real clear that they no longer want any parts of Jim Harbaugh, and it's just time for a change. I mean, this team is inferior at best. This team, has really, really taken a downfall, and I don't think they can get back up on their feet anytime soon unless they let go of Jim Harbaugh. This is worse than Harbaugh's 2-12 record against top 10 teams. He's 0-5 against Ohio State, and his 4 consecutive bowl losses is, horrific as well. This is getting bad, and it's loss after loss after loss after loss. And it comes to a point where you have to say enough is enough. We need a coaching change. Jim Harbaugh is no longer working out for us.
Trevor, I think pretty much the slogan at The Ohio State University, my favorite team is OSU, and whoever plays the school from up north, and in this case, it was both schools from up north playing each other, but again, it's the Spartans winning 27-24. And I believe, Trevor, the stat I saw earlier on Saturday was that Harbaugh is now a combined 1-6, I believe, in his career against Sparty and the Buckeyes in his career, though. But I think, though, that Isaiah's right and John's right, though, too, that this is not working. And I think that probably Michigan probably is trying their damnedest to probably let Harbaugh finish out this contract without getting rid of him right away because they may be on the hook for more money or money in general. But, Trevor, this is just not working, and it's getting worse and worse and worse with every passing loss that Jim Harbaugh has with the Wolverines right now. Trevor, your takeaways, again, as mentioned, the Spartans win over the Wolverines in Ann Arbor nonetheless, but again, 27-24, Sparty over the Wolverines today from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
In my opinion, Jim Harbaugh couldn't get it done last year. Though he played in Alabama, that wasn't great. It was a wounded Alabama, and you still get slaughtered by them. It just shows you you have talent and do well in the Big Ten, but if you go and try to face an SEC team, you get bushwhacked. It's awful. And now you go into, this season, you beat Minnesota. And he's like, okay, Michigan, took care of a, pretender. And they go face little brother, they get waxed. Little brother loses to Rutgers. So in reality, in theory, Rutgers is technically better than Michigan at this point in time. And make matters worse, Indiana is sitting in one of the top spots in the Big Ten East. I don't know how long they're going to stay there, but it's just showing you the traditional top teams in the Big Ten right now are in the bottom part of the Big Ten, which is kind of unheard of for most of these programs like Penn State and Michigan. So it's one of those spooky years that 2020 has been, but I think at the end of the day, Michigan is going to need to get rid of Jim Harbaugh if they're trying to get to the Big Ten championship game and get into the college football playoffs. They have to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I think, Stephen, that I think anyone who's a Michigan fan who's been, probably giving Harbaugh benefit of the doubt, they're probably saying, I can't deal with this anymore. Enough's enough. Get this guy out of here, regardless of what you have to do to get rid of him, as mentioned again. Because, guys, I know, of course, that in college, more so in college, there are games, though, where you look at on your schedule that are rivalry games that you have history with, that it's like, these are the games you can't lose. I think, guys, and probably in one of the sports that probably a lot of people don't watch, though, is soccer. And mainly in Major League Soccer, guys, they have these derby games, the rivalry games that you absolutely cannot afford to lose, like LA versus LAFC, LA San Jose, Seattle Vancouver. Those are the big games you circle on the schedule. Same in college football when you again have to play, Ohio State or play Wisconsin or play Penn State or play schools like that. Stephen, how much longer, and I think they'll probably, I've said this for a long time, though, especially this season. If, in fact, that Michigan once again loses to OSU, Jim Harbaugh has got to be fired regardless of what the school thinks of how great of a job he's done. Because if you're not winning those big games, if you're not beating Sparty and not beating the Buckeyes, there's no reason for you to even be, coaching for the Wolverines. But Stephen, your thoughts here on this game. As mentioned, the Spartans win 27-24 over the Wolverines from Ann Arbor on Saturday.
New year, same false hope for Mitch again, man. I couldn't stand hearing Hail to the Victors, so I played Hail to the Spartans for you guys, the true victors of Michigan. And the way I look at this game, guys, is that Michigan took advantage of a significantly worse Minnesota team. Minnesota had an outlier year last year, and I sort of realized that with Matthew here, who's joining with us on this program to talk about the boat sinking. But yeah, this Minnesota team clearly was not the same as the one it came in with last year. Last year, they had more defensive pieces. They had Antoine Winfield Jr., they had Tyler Johnson, great offensive piece right now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they just lost a lot of assets. And so Michigan beating that Minnesota team, while at the time it seemed impressive, we saw how Minnesota did this week. We saw how Michigan did this week. And I'm just not surprised at all, Callan. New quarterback. new system, but same false hope for Michigan.
Simple as that. Steve has mentioned. Shree, over to you now, man. Has mentioned, the Jim Harbaugh experience has been a very painful experiment for the Wolverines over the past several years. And like I said, though, in my mind, in college football, maybe more so than any other college sport, though, the games that mean the most to fans, your students, your alumni, your boosters, is when you play those rival schools. Whether it's, in my case, it's USD playing Gonzaga or playing Pepperdine, playing La Loyola Marymount, playing St. Mary's, or playing BYU, or in SDSU's case, or here in San Diego, when you go to SDSU, it's all about beating Fresno State for the oil can in football every year. But in this case, though, when it's a Big Ten rival or rivalry with, so much history between the Wolverines and Buckeyes, and you also have the, the inner city or interstate rivalries between the Spartans and the Wolverines, those are the games you circle, yes, but those are the games you cannot afford to lose. And again, like I said, I believe that Jim Harbaugh is now a combined 1-6 in his career in Ann Arbor up against the Spartans and also the Buckeyes. So Shree, give us your thoughts here. As mentioned, the Spartans winning over the Wolverines 27-24.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to, share an image that encapsulates all this pain and loss for Michigan fans. Give me a second. There we go. That's better. So now that I have, my image prepared, Harbaugh is just not working. And I, as an Ohio State fan, I say this because I want our rivalry to go back to what it was before, right? I want Ohio State to continue to win, but I want it to be competitive. I want Michigan to bring the same intensity into the game as we do. I want Michigan to be out there, trying to hit us, trying to, score on us, trying to do something, coming into that game with the mentality of we're going to win. This is the game. This is the most important rivalry of all time. Same thing with Sparty. Sparty comes into that game with intensity. You could see they had a game plan. Michigan comes in high off their win against Minnesota, and you see that they just come in and fall flat. Every time that's what happens to the game. That's what happened in this game. They just fall flat. Now, what I think is that it's just what it seems. Michigan does not care. Jim Harbaugh does not care.
It sounded like we had ourselves a robotic attack with Shree's take there. Hopefully we'll get Shree and those audio problems fixed in just a moment. Isaiah, we'll go back over to you. We know, of course, you've been sulking and drinking your troubles away, buddy, as time has gone on here. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts here more so about Harbaugh. We already heard the rant earlier, but give us your thoughts here again about maybe the future perhaps for Jim Harbaugh's maybe not too much longer future with the Wolverines.
Well, I know for one thing that Jim Harbaugh is going to send me into rehab for being an alcoholic. I mean, this bottle was like this full from here when I first started my rant, and now it's down to here. So, Jim Harbaugh, thank you so much. But in terms of the future, like I said, Jim Harbaugh is a crook. He needs to be fired immediately. This is just not working for Michigan. I think that also for Jim Harbaugh's sake, you've been there for 8 years now. I think this is the 8th year. So he's got to get a new I think a new change of scenery will do him good. But let's just face it, guys. Michigan will never fire Jim Harbaugh as much as we want him fired. Michigan will never do it because Jim Harbaugh is Michigan's prodigal son. He is the golden boy there. Like, he is the guy that as a little boy, he would sit in Bo Schembechler's office before practice and just watch Bo work his magic. And then he would also go to practice with his dad, Jack Harbaugh, who was an assistant coach coaching in Michigan. And also Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback for Michigan when they had lots of success in the mid 80s. So I don't think Michigan's going to fire Jim Harbaugh because it's going to be a bad look for them. I think what's the most likely outcome is that Jim Harbaugh just decides to go to the NFL or decides to step down. But if Jim Harbaugh does step down, even though I went on this huge rant about how he's a crook and he's stealing money and he needs to be arrested, blah, 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 I think that if I'm USC and Jim Harbaugh is on the market, I am sending a plane over to Ann Arbor, Michigan, like 1 minute after I hear the news that Jim Harbaugh has stepped down or, he got fired or whatever, I am sending a plane to Ann Arbor, Michigan to pick Jim Harbaugh up because Jim Harbaugh is a major upgrade over the clown that USC currently has as head coach in Clay Helton.
No.
John
Give me
is not a
Jim
fan of that idea.
all day over Clay Helton. Clay Helton,
no way.
Clay Helton is the Jason Garrett of college football. This man always goes 7-6 or 8-5 at a Power 5 program in USC that doesn't care about your stupid.
I actually agree with Isaiah.
Or whatever. We want championship. I'm tired each and every year of saying holiday bows or not even making a bowl game for goodness sake.
Jim Harbaugh
has never gotten. Listen to this. Jim Harbaugh's never gotten Michigan to a Rose Bowl. At least Clay Helton did. But you could also make the argument that Clay Helton already walked into a situation where the team was built. So, I don't know.
Jim Harbaugh has never finished better than second in his division. Not in the Big Ten. He's never finished better than second in his division, which means he's never finished more than third best.
The Michigan team he inherited is not exactly Ohio State or even Wisconsin.
The Michigan team he inherited is the second best team in the Big Ten consistently in terms of recruiting. The Michigan team that he inherited last season sent 10 players to the NFL.
5-7 before he came.
Yeah,
they were 500 before he came.
Look,
yes, but he was able to recruit at that level. He was able to come in and recruit at a level. He was able to get his own players in. He was able to get his own coaches, his own staff, whoever he wanted. He was able to run this program.
You put Harbaugh in the Pac-12. Come on, man. You're telling me he can't win the Pac-12?
He can't win. He can't win anything.
No.
Come on. He can win the Pac-12.
He can't win shit.
No. Look, USC. Oh, my goodness. No. USC fans would like this hire. Only because Jim Harbaugh is a flashy name. And remember, he did coach in the Pac-12 once before. He was Stanford's coach. But people would like this hire because it would be an overzealous amount of optimism. Oh, USC is going to win a national championship now because they got a big name, flashy coach, because that's what Hollywood loves out here. They love big names. So they will fall for it. But I'm not going to fall for it because I know how horrible of a job he did at Michigan, and his track record isn't very convincing. So not to USC. No way.
Hey, Steven, the year before Urban Meyer got to Ohio State went 5-7. The first year when Urban Meyer got to Ohio State, they went 12-0. The next year they went 13-1. And then the next year they won the national championship.
Prior to that, like Michigan was never in the national title conversation ever since this century. Like in the entire 21st century, there's never been a single time that Michigan has been in the national title race without.
That is not true. 2006, Ohio State versus Michigan, one versus.
Okay, fellas, we appreciate it, but we need to move on here. We are in fact running a little.
Look, Michigan has not had a premier coach since Lloyd Clark. I'm going to just say that. Look, Rich Rod was a joke. Brady Hoke was a joke. And now Jim Harbaugh is a joke.
We'll let Matt Soltis get in on this one, and we'll get Matt's thoughts here, as mentioned, who is going by the name of the PJ Fleck, the captain of the Titanic. Matt, give us your thoughts maybe on the whole entire ordeal going on.
Thanks. I hope you guys are all having a good Halloween. Just going to point out there, Jim Harbaugh inherited a team that was 5-7 the year before he took over. And to say that he wasn't in contention, there was 1 year where they were thought to be like legit and to win the Big Ten East. That was 2016. Bias, but Hawkeyes ruined that. So just throwing that out there. And my roommate and I were talking about this today. He's a Gopher fan. We all know the validity of those people, but he said, and he made a good point, who's going to be better than Jim Harbaugh right now at this very moment?
Exactly. Yeah, no one in my mind right now looks to be better in my eyes than Jim Harbaugh. Yes, it doesn't go, it hasn't gone right now. But as mentioned, name is flashy, as John alluded to, but also that the contract in my mind too is what is killing Michigan as well. And again, that flashiness is what we all had pointed out. Some thoughts here, fellas, about the about what we have said here in regards to Jim Harbaugh. Casey says that Michigan is done. I think they are in fact done. Quick update on the poll question that we had run, though, in regards to the Heisman frontrunner, whether it's Fields or Lawrence. By a long way, 83% have picked Fields over Lawrence. As mentioned, again, only 2 games played so far for the Ohio State. Casey King, a big USC fan, says Urban Meyer to USC of Helton is done after this year, and he says no thank you to Harbaugh at USC.
I agree. I completely agree.
Christy Wilson.
Urban Meyer already lives in Southern California. There you go.
Christy Wilson writes in to say that Harbaugh can even beat his own brother in the Super Bowl, as mentioned with Baltimore beating the Niners in the Super Bowl. He also, Casey also says real quick, if not Urban, Chris Peterson should be hired by the Trojans as well. That'd be a very good name perhaps as well. But again, folks, as mentioned, that is the scoop of the story with the Michigan State game, as we already alluded to. Again, the Spartans win 27-24 over the Wolverines. Stay with which brings us now to a new poll question, folks. If you were in charge of the Trojans athletic department, would you hire Mr. Harbaugh for USC? Give us your thoughts and comment down below. The panel's already, I see a no from John, a no from Shree, 2 thumbs up from Steve, no from Matt, and Trevor's like, who really cares? He says he's in the middle. I'm ready to move on and talk some NFL football for a change.
Come on, Trevor.
Well, let me just put it as this. USC needs to bring in talent, and they are struggling to compete with the SEC and the Big Ten. So bringing a big flashy name is basically what will put them back on track. And plus, losing in the Pac-12 literally puts you out of the college football playoff contention. So if you're able to bring in 5-star recruits to level as Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, if you're able to do that with USC, they'll be right back in the playoff picture in less than 3 years' time. So I think getting that flashy name will definitely help USC in recruiting and rebrand them in that golden image of USC.
It would probably help rebrand them because I'm tired of seeing them. I'm tired of seeing them getting quarterbacks from Mater Dei and wide receivers from Mater Dei. There's other places where you can recruit across the country other than Modern Day. I'm just tired of them getting players from that school. Look elsewhere and get players from other parts of the country and see how it works out for you.
They've had some great players come through, though. They've had Sam Darnold. They've had Keaton Slovis. They've had these really talented Juju Smith-Schuster. So it's not the talent, it's the coaching. And I don't think that Jim Harbaugh, while he may get a little bit more 5-star recruits and maybe some more 4-star recruits, I just don't think that at this point he is, able to take a team out there and play with the same intensity week in and week out. And he has these weeks where, you watch them and you're like, did they even come to play today? Are they here to win, or are they here to just, just show up and see what happens, right? And I think that is something that you need in a coach that might be even more important than the recruiting, because you've seen Kirk Ferentz take this Iowa team to the Big Ten championship. You've seen what Wisconsin has done with far less recruiting prowess than Michigan, right? We've seen that these other teams are able. Northwestern with Pat Fitzgerald. Northwestern doesn't get recruits, but he's made it to the Big Ten championship. So we've seen what other teams can do, and Jim Harbaugh, despite getting better players than these other coaches, is not able to compete with these programs.
Well, he is in the Big Ten East.
Yeah, and there's really more coaching than just yelling.
He's really not. Mark D'Antonio got significantly worse talent than Michigan in his entirety time at Michigan State. Yet Michigan State was out there, was in the college football playoff.
Fair point. All right.
By the way, I have one minor bone to pick with the guy below me, which is Mr. Nick Mullins, about the prestigious Holiday Bowl. Isaiah, you love this city so much. You love the pina coladas here. Why are you so tired of USC going to the Holiday Bowl? What gives?
Well, hey, San Diego is paradise. It is heaven, man. It is the nicest place on earth. I got no beef with San Diego, but USC, I love the Holiday Bowl, but USC needs to be about national championships year in and year out. And right now under Clay Helton, it's Holiday Bowl year in and year out. This guy's the Jason Garrett of college football. Get this clown out of here immediately. I will even pay, if I were rich enough, like maybe I can save up some money, I will personally pay his buyout.
Isaiah, you're just mad they lost to Iowa.
Oh my goodness. Matthew, what gift do we have here?
It's DJ Flex sinking.
Oh my goodness. Captain of the Titanic. That is glorious right there. But again, folks, as mentioned, give us your thoughts again, folks, and vote on the poll question. Would Jim Harbaugh be the right hire for the Trojans? Again, comment down below or vote in the live poll question. Casey King, hell no to Harbaugh at USC. Trevor's falling asleep, I can see, middle part of our screen. Christy Wilson, no to Harbaugh at USC. Casey also says USC is getting the recruits, but Clay is not the right guy to lead USC to a title where, again, perhaps the Harbaugh thing becomes a thing. But at the same time, though, you can't go for that sexy name. I think I've learned that in my time. You know, that nice coach, that player out there is not necessarily going to plug you right into the championship conversation. And Chardol says yes to Harbaugh being hired by USC. John, you have a look on your face like you want to add on to your point. What do you got for us?
Both Clay Helton and Chip Kelly have to go. It's that simple. They just have to go.
Rough times if you're a Pac-12 fan in Los Angeles with both USC and UCLA falling by the wayside. With that, guys, to the other version of football, into week number, where are we at here, fellas? Week number 8 of the NFL season coming up on Sunday. We had a very interesting game on Thursday between Atlanta and Carolina. John, we'll go to you, buddy. Give us maybe the 1 or 2 games or a couple games you're watching very closely come Sunday for week 8 of the NFL season.
You know, I don't really have one in particular that I'm really focused on. I do like the Vikings and the Packers though, because that's a well-known rivalry game, and I want to see how well Aaron Rodgers performs in that game. I do like the Steelers and the Ravens. I think that's a marquee matchup. Ben Roethlisberger, man, he is sensational this year. He's fun to watch. It's amazing how fast he recovered, and he's a rejuvenated quarterback. It's going to be fun to see him go head-to-head against Lamar Jackson. I think that's a game to look out for and to watch closely. I like what the Steelers have done this year. They still remain unbeaten in the NFL. They look remarkable. They look like a team that can come out of the AFC at this rate. And then, of course, living here in Southern California, I like the Rams and the Dolphins, only because the Rams defense has not played by their standards this season. They have not performed really well to me. They have looked subpar, and they haven't, been that defense to really stop the run or stop more or less of anything. So I'm interested to see how well they play against Tua and the Dolphins tomorrow. So those are my 3 games that I'm watching out for.
So, Trevor, we'll go over to you, man. As mentioned, a couple of good games are on the schedule for Week 8. As mentioned, Rams-Dolphins. Again, also Tua Tagovailoa's official NFL starting debut taking place against the Rams and their great defense coming up on Sunday. Of course, you've got games in prime time. You have Tampa playing the Giants on Monday Night Football. Trevor, give us maybe the games you're watching closely come Sunday.
The games I'm watching closely are definitely going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Battle of the AFC North, I want to say.
Yes.
Yep.
And, Pittsburgh is going with that undefeated streak right now. I think that's going to come to an end, but I think Big Ben will definitely put up some numbers to say, hey, I think he's going to be able to get into the playoffs and maybe do a Super Bowl push to retire after this season. But we have to wait and see how the season unfolds. The next game I will keep my eye on is the the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears. I think that's just going to be a fantastic game from start to finish. Though it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. I feel like it's going to be like 28-17. Don't know who – I forget who I picked to win, but I definitely tune in that game.
It better have been New Orleans.
I feel like I think I definitely picked New Orleans, but I have to, double check on that because I got time before kickoff.
Yes.
It's 1 a.m. here, so I got some time. And then the third game that I'm keeping my eye on and seeing where the rookie goes, I guess a tie for my third game is going to be Tennessee and Cincinnati. See how Joe Burrow, gets through that game against a defense that is not the best defense in the AFC, but a solid defense that can keep it a low scoring. Obviously, Joe Burrow's put up numbers ridiculous, but can he be able to put up numbers against a top defense in the AFC? That's what I want to keep a look at. And then obviously I'm going to have to go with my Chargers against the Broncos. I feel like Justin Herbert is going to make a statement and be able to beat the Broncos and saying, hey, the Chargers have a nice future with their quarterback. So I'm really hoping the Chargers can pull out this one.
Justin Herbert over Drew Lock, guys.
I have the Chargers sadly beating Isaiah's man crush in this game. Steven, over to you. What games you got on the schedule for you to watch on week 8 for the NFL season, bud?
To me, it's easy, guys. It's got to be number 1, the Steelers at the Ravens. I mean, this is the battle of divisional supremacy. We know Lamar Jackson has had issues performing in some of the big moments. This is a chance to take control and take back control of the division, with the Steelers being undefeated and the Ravens with 1 loss. They can recover and bounce back here, and Lamar Jackson can once again prove the naysayers wrong and take over that AFC North division. The Steelers have been a cute story, guys. Ben Roethlisberger has been serviceable for the Steelers, and that defense has been nasty. But let me tell you this, guys. I do not trust the Steelers when it comes to the playoffs. They don't have a go-to weapon like the Ravens have with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. When it comes to that consistency, age is going to get to them. I have the Ravens taking this game 24-13 in a defensive battle. Another really great game to look forward to, guys, is Isaiah's Niners against the Seattle Seahawks. He's got the sunglasses on. He's got the false hope written all over his face, guys. I am here to tell you that the Niners are not indeed back this season. Not only will the Niners miss the playoffs this year, they will win the Super Bowl next year. This year is not their time. They've got too many injuries to deal with. They're just out of sync. And let me tell you, the Seahawks, this is a great, great opportunity for them to begin running away with that NFC West. And when it comes to close games, when it comes to narrow and tight battles, there is nobody better out there than that clutch man, Russell Wilson. In fact, he's even better than that bad man Aaron Rodgers in these type of situations, guys. I have the Seahawks prevailing 24-20 over those San Francisco 49ers who will be back next year, not this year.
All right, Isaiah, over to you now. Again, as mentioned, mainly it's been Pittsburgh and Baltimore being the big game on the schedule, as mentioned. Probably a race for first place right now in the AFC North division, as already mentioned plenty of times. How will the Ravens, or how does Pittsburgh, I should say, keep the momentum going after that late comeback victory, or at least holding on for that victory over Tennessee last week? Isaiah, what games are on your schedule for Sunday?
You're muted, buddy.
Well, first of all, guys,
Mullins, that is why you are a third-string quarterback. Right there.
First of all, the game that I'm looking forward to tomorrow is nothing to do with the NFL. I am looking forward to the Taiwan World Series between the K-Song.
What?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding, guys. The first game I am looking forward to is the 49ers against the Seattle Sea Chickens at 1:25 p.m. Pacific time on Fox. Listen, I think the 49ers have a great chance to win this game because when you look at it right now, the 49ers have bounced back nicely after a drubbing by the Miami Dolphins, in which they dropped their record to 2-3. They lost 43-17 in that game, and there was a lot of questions whether Jimmy Garoppolo was done and what the Niners' future was holding for them. But they've bounced back nicely. They've won the last 2 games against the Rams and the Patriots, and now the hard part of their schedule comes. You have Seattle, then Green Bay on Thursday Night Football, and then New Orleans. So the 49ers, I believe, out of those 3 games, I think this game is the most winnable on that schedule because, let's face it, Seattle, they have the worst defense in the NFL, which is saying something because the Dallas Cowboy defense has been absolutely rubbish this season. I think the 49ers will be able to put up a lot of points against the Seattle Seahawks. I think they'll be able to run the football down the Seattle Seahawks' throat. And the 49ers, their defense, minus Nick Bosa, minus Dee Ford, minus Richard Sherman, they've been really stout defensively the last couple of weeks. I want to see how they hold up against Russell Wilson and that high-powered sea chicken offense. And also, there's one more thing that you guys all forgot about this. There's going to be no fans at CenturyLink Field. CenturyLink Field, the loudest stadium in the NFL, no fans being there has major effects on Seattle. And I think, the 49ers, they will be able to huddle in this game, and they will be able to, get their play calls in and stuff like that. So I could see the 49ers winning this game. And the second game I got to definitely look for is the Broncos against the Chargers, because first of all, I'm starting Drew Lock in my fantasy football team, and I need Drew Lock obviously to play well in that game. Also, I think that the Broncos, this is a winnable game for them because the Chargers, they've looked good when Justin Herbert has started, but they just haven't been able to finish games. And normally Broncos Chargers, it always comes down to the wire. So those are the 2 games I'm looking forward to this weekend.
All right, Matt, over to you. What do you got for us in regards to games you're watching of note in the NFL?
Although I don't think it's going to be that close, I'm a Vikings fan. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if they're able to recover from the bye, and because definitely a lot of changes need to be made based off of that game against the Falcons, and I think that it's going to be kind of a final message for Kirk Cousins, whether he is going to finish out the season or if he's benched. As much as I don't want to see Sean Mannion, I think it's a very crucial game. Another thing, Bears-Saints. I think that the Bears, for the most part, have played an easy schedule, and it's a really good matchup. Drew Brees missing Michael Thomas for, I think, the 6th straight week. That's a big loss. Another one, Raiders and Browns. I know that's crazy, but I think with OBJ tearing his ACL, I think that could be interesting to see how they are able to handle that on offense. And it's always interesting to watch Baker Mayfield just simply because he is so hit and miss. And I feel like Derek Carr and the Raiders, yeah, they're 3-3, but I think they're a team that you can count on to show up every week.
Fair observation. Shree, over to you, buddy. What do you got for us for games you're keeping an eye on Sunday?
Yeah, I agree with everybody else on the Steelers and Ravens, so I'm not going to elaborate on that one. I think it's already been covered. One of the ones that I haven't heard of yet is the Colts versus the Lions. Now, the Colts are very quiet 4-2. I haven't heard too much about them. I don't think they're playing particularly well. Their defense is strong. Philip Rivers has had some struggles this year, but the Lions are a team that I think is looking up. DeAndre Swift is finally looking like that running back of the future. Matthew Stafford is always there, capable of putting up some points and playing some decent offense there in Detroit. So I really see this as a battle of strength versus strength. So I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top in that one. Another one that I'll have to mention is, unfortunately, my Patriots versus the Bills. So the Patriots, historically have had tremendous success against the Bills. Bill Belichick's record against the Bills, I think, is one of the best of any quarterback, any coach against another opponent. And we have to see, I've seen the Pats struggle for the past 2 weeks, but I'm holding out hope until this game, because I think that, the Bills may be a springboard to where, I'm not saying the Pats are going to win the division or anything, but, maybe you can get our season back on track if we can slow down Josh Allen and that high-powered offense and find some ways to put points on the board. It's going to be difficult. N'Keal Harry's out, Julian Edelman's out, Stephon Gilmore's out, so we have some key players missing. But, I'm still a little optimistic. The eternal optimist in me wants to see this game and wants to see, whether or not it's truly the Bills' division yet, or if it's still if Bill Belichick can still find a way to pull this out. And the third and final game that I'm looking forward to is the Seahawks versus 49ers. And I'm looking forward to this mostly because it's going to be, a very one-sided contest, I think. I think that, it's going to be 43-20 Seattle Seahawks, and I'm looking forward to Russell Wilson throwing 5 touchdown passes and Jimmy G throwing 3 interceptions. And, the 49ers get dismantled by the Seahawks and start their 3-game skid and move them out of the playoff picture. So that's another game that I'm really looking forward to watching tomorrow.
With that, guys, we'll go to the viewers real quick about games they are watching closely come Sunday. First up, it is James, who agrees about the Steelers and Ravens. Niners, Seahawks, and a battle of badly injured rosters. Definitely think that is a good one. Christy will go with her Cowboys against the Eagles on NBC because the Cowboys are starting their third-string quarterback, rookie out of James Madison University, a quarterback, again, no Dak Prescott, and now, and of course, no Andy Dalton in this game. And also James writes in as well, Tua Tagovailoa starting for some stupid reason versus the Rams. Maybe some rift there now as Ryan Fitzpatrick has voiced his displeasure about losing his job to the young rookie. And also James says, well, the official passing of the torch game in the AFC East from New England to Buffalo in his mind. And also Casey agrees about Rams-Dolphins. He thinks the Rams defense has been great this year and only going to get better as we move along. Other games he'll watch, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and also Seattle and San Francisco. And also Chardol says he's got Niners, Seahawks, Saints, Bears, Pats, Bills, Broncos, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins. And also about the poll question, folks, in regards to a good hire, bad hire, if in fact the Trojans of USC were to perhaps hire Jim Harbaugh, dead even, 50 yes, 50 no, with him being hired at USC. I am in full agreement with the panel here, folks, in regards to Pittsburgh and Baltimore being one of the better games on the morning slate of the schedule. I'll also go more so as well with the Niners and the Seahawks. So I have Seattle winning this game. I know, of course, that Isaiah had a very valid point, though, about there being no fans, though, at the link coming up on Sunday. But at the same time, though, Seattle is bound to bounce back, though, after giving up that game last Sunday to the Cardinals on the road at State Farm Stadium. And, of course, the Niners have been beat up, banged up, chewed up, and spit out plenty of times with injuries across the board here. But I think I'll also, though, agree with Christy, though, about this Dallas Cowboys game against Philadelphia. As mentioned, a very bad division, but also how much longer will the Cowboys go without having to sign another quarterback? As mentioned, the third-string quarterback is now starting this game. And, again, the Eagles have looked very lackluster as the year has progressed on. But, again, folks, we'll take your thoughts here still, too, on those games you may, in fact, be watching across the board. Again, folks, as a reminder here, again, this multi-hour event will roll on for the next several minutes here. As mentioned, we thank you folks for staying up late and for, again, joining us here on this Halloween Saturday, maybe early Sunday morning, if you folks are joining us here still on the East Coast. Stephen, I want to give you the floor, man, for the next couple minutes here, if not maybe longer, again, as we're more so folks to mention, say, Halloween Spooktacular here for the MI6 Sports Network, but also, again, folks, a celebration, though, again, about how, in fact, the network has progressed and moved on up to bigger and better things ever since this thing was founded. Stephen, we'll give you the floor, though, man. I don't want to really put words in your mouth or, take away your thunder because pretty much, man, you and Isaiah, Shree and Martin, the rest of the gang, pretty much starting this thing out. Kind of in a way, though, more so, Stephen, as a joke pretty much done earlier on during the pandemic shutdown. So, Steve, I'll give you the floor for the next several minutes here to, again, kind of talk about how this whole idea kind of came to fruition with you guys starting up the MI6 Sports Network. Floor is all yours, sir. Go for it, please.
Well, the MI6 Sports Network started out with just me and Ryan. We did our podcast together, and I did my podcast with Isaiah as well. So I had 2 shows with Isaiah and Ryan. With Ryan, I had fan response, and with Isaiah, I had carpool chats. And then the pandemic hit, and that's when we started bringing all sorts of people into our streams because we had just started using Zoom. Shout out to Zoom, the software we used before StreamYard. And then we started bringing Trevor in all the time. He was the 6-man Williams man. He was always filling in for us and, having great shows with us. And we started bringing Tree in as well for his expert opinions on the Patriots and all things NFL, and just, putting Isaiah's takes to rest as well. And Isaiah came in a couple times on my shows with Ryan and everything. So pretty much this whole thing started out with just, we had a couple of shows that I would do with my friends, and Isaiah had his shows, and we merged them all together into one network. Now, naturally, the pandemic was going on, and we called it Quarantine Chats. But, what we figured out about that name was there are a lot of podcasts and just networks in general with the moniker of Quarantine something. You had the Quarantine Network that Callan has. You have Quarantine Chronicles. We actually invited someone named Lucas Weiss to come on and talk some sports with us. And overall, we needed something more creative. So then Ryan comes along, and he actually came up with the name, what about MI6? I was just searching up great group names. We started with 6 people originally. First, we have the 6-man Williams. And then we got Asian Skip Bayless, Isaiah Leung. He's Nick Mullins today. And you got me, Jason Voorhees over here. And we had Ryan, and we had Tree, and we had Martin, who started the website for us later. So then this thing got started into the MI6 Sports Network. And then after you and Jonathan joined the board, we had about 10 members, and that's when things really started taking off, guys. I mean, Martin made the website for us. It's sad that him and Ryan can't be joining with us today. And then just from that website, everything was taking off. We were writing articles, and we're getting so many different likes on the page every day. I started uploading all of our podcasts on Anchor, and we introduced Wild Sports Talk as a part of acquiring you and Jonathan. And now it's evolved into the thing it is now today, with over 4,000 followers on Facebooks and likes, with over 1,400 Anchor listens. We just appreciate all the support that you guys have provided us, and we have a platform now. We have a platform thanks to all of you guys out here, Christy Wilson, Shardal Gupta, Ian Glenn, and Matt Ong, who mostly tune into our Anchor podcasts, James Gonzalez, all of these guys just, contributing so much in the comment section, contributing so much day in and day out when we have these shows. We appreciate you guys all. And, long story short, it started from a couple of guys being bored talking about sports during the pandemic, and then needing a more creative name. And then we got the MI6 Sports Network. So really appreciate it, guys.
Isaiah, I'll go to you again. We sadly lost John Mathis again. Those technical difficulties coming to fruition about an hour and 40 into this multi-hour show. But again, Isaiah, for someone like myself who's been working in sports for 11 years and seeing everything come to a screeching halt in March and thinking, what am I going to do with myself pretty much? And, John and I had kind of done a couple of off-the-wall podcasts. I was still doing a thing every morning where it was updating people about sports news and what was going on with the sports world trying to come back in the midst of this ongoing pandemic. It's still the brewing pandemic going on. And then, it comes about in, I think, June or July, Isaiah, that John approaches me and then you saying, hey, we want to do this podcast called Wild Sports Talk. And, we did a couple episodes, and then Steven, I think, was very, very generous to say, hey, bring it on over to the platform that we have here on the MI6 Sports Network. And, it's been very, awesome to be a part of. But Isaiah, maybe give us your story and your thoughts about how, in fact, because, again, being one of the founding fathers in the network that you have been, though, Isaiah, give us your thoughts, and more so, again, maybe more about the story of the network starting, and, again, how things have progressed in your mind ever since.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that It's been an honor and a great privilege to be part of this network, doing shows like almost every day. And, it's just been so much fun. Like this, doing shows each and every day is the highlight of my day, to be honest with you, because right now I'm not working due to the pandemic and not a lot of people are hiring. So, like, basically, I'm just at home every day. And the one thing that keeps me sane is doing shows and preparing for shows. So, honestly, like this network started as Steven saying something really stupid. Like when we were driving around one day, he was like, I asked him, I think, will the Orlando Magic make the playoffs? The Magic right now are in sixth. So yeah, they're in the sixth place in the Eastern Conference. This was like 2 years ago. And I asked him, like, hey, do you think the Magic will hold on and make the playoffs? And he said no. And I was so shocked by it because the Magic actually had a 10-game lead on whoever was in ninth place that year. I forgot who it was. And then I just took out my phone and I just started recording Steve. And I was like, yo, say this for the camera. We need you on record, like muttering this BS nonsense, and we got it on record. We called it carpool chats, and all of a sudden, like that, from that moment, just started this whole network. So it's really crazy to see how that moment started everything. But honestly, I'll tell you guys this. 2020 has been a very dark year for everybody. Whether it's COVID, deaths, or not people not being able to go to work, but for me, even though it sucks that I was like, my trip to Hawaii got canceled, I couldn't work for the A's this year or the 49ers. I think that this pandemic was a blessing in disguise, because without it, I don't think I would have been able to meet all of you guys, all these wonderful people here on the network, and finally find what I wanted to do in life. For the last couple of years, ever since I graduated high school, I had really struggled with what I wanted to do in life. I never knew what I wanted to do. I know a lot of people, they always they have like a dream, but for me, it was like I wanted to do something in sports, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And after this pandemic shut everything down and I got into podcasting, I figured out that I really liked it. And this was the career that I wanted to continue getting into and pursuing and making this like a full-time job one day. So, it's been a blessing in disguise. I'm so thankful that we have the network. And also this network has provided a lot of great memories, such as like my take about Michigan, my rant about Michigan, John and Callan walking off the set and John saying, "What did you just say?" When I said that I would rather, I would take Luke Walton. Yes. Yeah, like that one right there. And John and Callan also walking off the set when I said I would rather have, when I said that I would take Denver over Kansas City, even though they just won the Super Bowl. And also from
Wow.
And then I remember on Fan Response, I went with Ryan and Steven, and right the week before the Super Bowl, I said, hey, as a Niner fan, I don't fear Patrick Mahomes one bit. And that created another video, another GIF. But, we've had so many great memories on this network. I've met so many people in this network. It's just amazing, man. And, we definitely need to continue this because this is such a great network, and I'm so happy to be a part of. And Callan, I want to add one more memory to this network if I could. Can you give me a 3, 2, 1 countdown, please, bud?
3, 2, 1.
Sunk the boat, Minnesota sucks. Thank you to Maryland for putting them in their place. Hey, sunk the boat, Loxley sunk the boat. Thank you to Maryland for sinking the boat. Golden Gophers fans, that is for you. The boat has been sunk.
Isaiah, you should publish that.
Steven didn't quite walk all the way off the set, but it was pretty damn close. We've of course, folks, have had all those moments come to fruition. As
You want some, Steven?
Steve's putting the hockey mask back on and putting the Ohio State hat back on and grabbing the baseball bat. So just going back to prove that Michigan cannot beat Ohio State. With that, Trevor, we'll go over to you, buddy. As mentioned, we're getting some more people on again. John had some technical problems, but Trevor, we called you Six Man Williams because whenever we get a guest on Wild Sports Talk, the creative director, I guess, of some of the graphics you see on screen and stuff like that, make these like kind of off the wall but authentic Wild West wanted posters, like you're actually, a wanted criminal in the Wild West. And of course, I couldn't think of a nickname for you because I was being called the annoying loudmouth. Isaiah's nickname was, I think, Isaiah No BS Leung, and of course, John was, Judge John Mathis, or the sports judge, whatever it was. And I couldn't really think of anything, but I thought, Trevor's like the first fill-in co-host. We can call him Six Man Williams because of him coming off the bench to help us out during a program. And of course, Trevor, you've been a part of this thing for the longest time. Maybe your thoughts and about how, in fact, you got started here with the MI6 Sports Network.
Yeah, I came in I feel like in the spring of 2020 before COVID went underway, because I think I was like the first ever, I guess, special guest on Carpool Chat. I think that was like episode 26. And from there, it was just like it slowly started to progress. And Steven and Isaiah started to do more episodes. And then when COVID hit, literally we had to change focus. And it was just us like saying, oh, we're just spending like time on the phone, just chit-chatting, and like saying, hey, let's all go and do a podcast with it. So we shifted focus. So we had like an hour to prep for the show. And then we ended up transitioning doing like, a 2-hour show or a 90-minute show, and then just talking after the show. So it was like a whole like 3-hour like preparation for like just one episode. It was great, and the experience has like been fantastic from just exploring the different networks, the different opportunities we had, the different name changes, and from all the like I guess fun shenanigans we do, from like my Captain Kirk to me filling in like last minute, getting a call from Isaiah, be like, Trevor, can you come on the show real quick? And then getting calls from Isaiah like at 3 a.m. So it's one of those fun experience. Even the shows that are like the late night shows, like this one, for example, I'm able to step up to the plate, fill in. And I think at this point, if you had the 6 Man of the Year award, I think I would be able to be a top candidate in it. I don't know if I would be able to win it, but it depends who was the other. That is perfect. Yes, vote for me for the 6 Man award for the MI6 network, and let's see if I can bring that home. But this has been a fantastic show. I've been an editor for Isaiah's, article, so I've basically almost done almost everything on the show, I would say, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Matt, you and I don't know each other very well. I mean, I've come on, I think I had to fill in once because Isaiah had tech problems on fan response, and I got to kind of know your style a little bit. But at the same time, though, man, you and Steven going back a long ways. I don't think a lot of people out there, Matt, could really say they have a friend still from like elementary school, middle school in this day and age. I still have one from elementary school, 20 plus years you've known each other, and you and Steven kind of going all the way back as well. Matt, give us your thoughts here about your time being here and how it's been for you being on it for the past several months, again, due to the ongoing COVID concerns and, again, the crisis we've been stuck in for the past several months.
And tell us about the Gophers game, Matt.
For all of us. Oh, Steven, we could make another episode on that. But by the way, good job performing that song with the trumpet. I haven't touched mine since our time in
bravo. Encore.
Thank you.
No joke. Steven and I go back. This is how far we go back. 6th grade band class, we both played the trumpet. So when he played that song, I remember playing that song for one of our concerts. Why? We live in Minnesota. I don't know why. But I've been on this show 3 times, I think. And I don't know. It's fun. I'm still in school, so it just kind of gives me a little bit of time to decompress and
talk sports. I mean, especially when Isaiah throws out something as crazy as like, I mean, the Phillies winning the World Series or the like Broncos finishing better than the Chiefs. Like, kind of one of those things where it brightens your day just because it's funny. I don't know. It's a good way to kind of decompress and do something fun with some friends. I mean, I've met a lot of people. I mean, I never thought that I would have ever talked to an ESPN analyst for the Vikings before this. So it's been a good time.
Good time for sure. Some viewer comments here, guys. As mentioned, we're having some of the guys, again, stuck with technical difficulties, as mentioned already throughout the course of our time here on the network. A couple of thoughts here, guys. As mentioned, we already read a couple from Christy Wilson. Again, the network is growing. James Gonzalez says, thank you guys very much for all the programs. Your opinions are simple, they're direct, and not fake, which is great. Of course, we hear that all the time probably from other programs as well. Angel is here after his niece's birthday. What did I miss? A lot of college football talk, but also, again, us, again, celebrating, again, the time here on the MI6 Sports Network. Also, some more thoughts real quick. What do we got here going on? Casey is ready for next year. I think all of us are as well. But I'll tell you what, I've only been here or tuning in since last month, but you guys have been awesome with these shows on the network. And I thank you all for welcoming my thoughts on here. Hope this continues to keep going for a long time. That is the plan right now at this juncture. Also, as well, Angel agrees that MI6 is growing fast and just getting started. I concur 100%. Casey was talking about a couple of missed trips. The Royals and the Twins for baseball games this year, past summer, plus the home opener for the Rams at SoFi Stadium, hoping to get there next season. Definitely agree. Angel missed 2 Rams games, a Charger game, an LAFC game, a Galaxy game, 2 Dodger games, 2 Angel games, a Padre game, and a wrestling event at USC's Galen Center as well. And Casey says, hard to believe my last road trip to California was last December for a Gulls rain game, and he saw me when the game was over. Also saw the Rams last game at the Coliseum the next day, but boy, didn't think that would be my last sports trip for a while. He also missed some trips to see the LA Kings play, some Dodger games, and of course USC football as well. Stephen, we'll go over to you pretty much. Just want to kind of maybe not really clarify, but kind of talk about all the programs in a very small role, because as mentioned, many know there's been it went from, like 1 program to 2 programs to what it is now, as we've already talked about, with so many ideas coming into fruition. Of course, this is all pretty much post adding John and myself and Isaiah, or more so adding the Wild Sports Talk program here on the fold for the network. But Stephen, maybe in a way, though, kind of talk about, how, in fact, quarantine chats and carpool chats kind of went for the first part of the pandemic before, again, all the changes kind of came around the time of July.
Well, so before the pandemic, we had Fan Response and we had Carpool Chats, really just 2 shows. And Fan Response was the show with me and Ryan on Tuesday, and Carpool Chats was whenever Isaiah and I were on the car and we needed to speak some sports, we needed to record some good old stuff from my Bluetooth car radio. That's what we would do. And we kept having Trevor and Ryan on Carpool Chats, and as soon as the pandemic hit, that really incentivized us to go into more of the Zoom broadcasting, which could host up to 20 different people, I believe. And so instead of carpool chats, we replaced that with quarantine chats, which we would have every Friday. And we had 2 shows a week, me and Ryan on Tuesday, and then quarantine chats with the entire crew of me, Ryan, Trevor, Isaiah, and we added Martin and Tree later. And then once you and Jonathan came aboard, we absorbed Wild Sports Talk, which I really wanted to get you guys on. You guys have been a great addition to the team. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, it's just the entire dynamic of this network changed when Wild Sports Talks came into the mix. And then, of course, in between, we had No BS because we needed another show for Isaiah to drag Trevor into, but this time not as just a fill-in guest, but a show specifically having Trevor weekly. And that had Trevor and Isaiah. Of course, Trevor was a little bit concerned about maybe Isaiah going off the rails and everything a little bit more without me managing him as much, but it turned out great. And so when Wild Sports Talk entered the mold, we started adding in more shows like the night shift. and interviewing special guests and all of that. And so now we've got this beautiful program lineup, with Wild Sports Talks on Mondays, Wednesdays, and then we have the night shift on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and we got No BS on Friday. And it's just a perfect schedule, man.
Trevor, I want to go to you now and kind of talk more about No BS. As mentioned, this is a program, folks, with myself, Isaiah, Trevor, and Furman Lee, who's going to be joining us very, very shortly here, as in fact the Spooktacular rolls on. But Trevor, as we had kind of touched base on, though, man, you've been known pretty much your entire, I'd say, career here on the network as kind of being that fill-in guy to kind of keep things, kind of be that sixth man, though. But Trevor, give us your thoughts, though, about the program and pretty much, how this idea kind of came to fruition, with more so you being involved with the program and not having to kind of be that guy to come on at like the very last minute or second.
So like with No BS, since that's basically my wheelhouse and everything that I do on the MI6 Sports Network, I think when we first started off, it was going to be like almost like a free-for-all show where we just talked about sports, have outlandish takes, and just had some fun, almost like a sort of theme for the whole Wild Sports Talk. But the original No BS and the format was me and Isaiah were going to debate each other. And at the end of the show, we were going to have a poll saying who won, like had better arguments for that episode. And then a few episodes in later, that's when I think like 5 episodes in later, we introduced the Power 5 segment and we just started going through it and made it its own specialty. So we had like, favorite barbecue sides, because 4th of July happened, or favorite soda drinks, favorite candy, which we did, 2 weeks ago, and then Halloween costumes. So the list goes on and on with No BS. And it's one of those things, once you are able to be a host on a show or to moderate, it really opens up the door for you to be on other podcasts or even start additional podcasts to what you do. Because once we see on our network, there's a lot of shows that just get, sparked up and saying, hey, let's go do this podcast episode. Obviously, when more time goes into the future and when things are a little bit more normal, MI6 Network may, produce more shows and fill in other gaps in the day where it's like we're almost 24/7, but though we have lives outside of this. But we're going to wait and see what, 21 has. I know we have a lot of great stuff planning for all you guys, so make sure you stay tuned and, subscribe on our YouTube channel so you get all the notifications when we go live so you don't miss anything when 2021 comes rolling around.
Isaiah, over to you. Of course, you're pretty much the bread and butter, or the straw that serves the drink here in regards to appearing, I think, on every single program. It seems like maybe minus Fan Response on Thursday, but you're on with me and John on Monday and Wednesday. You're on with the night shift on me on Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, of course, you're making appearances on Thursdays on Fan Response. And, Isaiah, you're pretty much, in my case here, holding this, pocket knife, because apparently Howard Stark thinks I wouldn't attack Captain Rogers with a pocket knife. But you're pretty much the Swiss Army knife of this entire operation, again, being able to go and be so versatile and be on one program one night, go to the next night and do a different program. But Isaiah, No BS kind of in a way reminds me a little bit, kind of in a way of like, PTI mixed in though with Sports Nation, because you're talking about having people vote on certain topics or certain things and things of that caliber. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts though about No BS and again, how that program went to where it's at right now.
Well, first of all, No BS started because me and Trevor, we would always talk on the phone like almost every single day. And I guess like we would always get into like heated debates about sports, whether it was NBA or NFL or college football. I mean, one time like we were on the phone, I thought it was going to only be like a 30 or like a 20-minute call. It ended up being an hour and a half because we literally spent an hour debating if Yao Ming had gone to the Los Angeles Lakers instead of Pau Gasol, how many championships would Kobe and Yao would have won, and we got into a whole debate over it. And I guess, Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, but one day we were just like, for some reason, we just decided, hey, you want to do a podcast together because, like we have good discussions on the phone. You want to transition it to where the audience can hear us talk, I guess. So that's when we started No BS. And we came up with this like weird, like this Power Five idea because me and Trevor looked at it this way. We looked at it like that like we already had so much sports talk on the network, so we decided, hey, why not we try to sprinkle in some stuff that isn't sports so the fans that aren't sports fans can tune in, and it could be like a great wrinkle to the show. And we did it. I think the first episode of No BS, we did like pizza. So yeah, I think we did pizza, and it was really fun. And a lot of the audience out there was really stunned because I told them, hey, the reason why I didn't put the barbecue chicken pizza on my list is because I can't handle spice whatsoever. I mean, the only spice I can handle is Cheetos for good. I can't even eat hot Cheetos. That's how much, like, that's how weak I am in the spice department. I literally put my own race to shame because I can't handle spice. But enough of the spice talk, but like we just decided to, get the Power Five in there as like an interesting wrinkle to the show. And I think we like the show did really good. It was going great, but we felt like that if me and Trevor, our strong suits aren't moderating. Our strong suits are like just giving our opinions out. So it was kind of cringe. So that's when we got Callan into the show, and I'm so thankful that Callan agreed to do it. And then we just did the show like that, and it's been fun. And then we also added Furman as well, so it's been really, really fun, especially the Power Five. And also now we have the Pigskin Pick'em, and we might have some new segments along the way. But so far the show has been tremendous. I think No BS, Callan, correct me if I'm wrong, has been like the second highest rated show on our network so far.
That is correct.
Yeah, so so No BS, we honestly, me and Trevor, when we first started, we thought that No BS, we would be lucky to get even 100 views, and the first episode got, I believe, like 900. We had like 30 people watching it at once. It was so crazy, but it's been a wild ride. It's been great. I can't wait to continue No BS and see what season 2 and season 3 brings. And hopefully I don't make Callan go crazy on No BS now if I pick the Chargers over some big team.
Well, you already learned your lesson, but I got them beating Denver this week. With that, we do, folks, welcome on the other member of our No BS broadcast team, our good buddy Furman Lee, joining us as well. Furman, as mentioned, man, you kind of in a way have been a guest as well with us on WST. And, of course, now a full-time member of our No BS broadcast team. Furman, first of all, man, good to see you. Happy Halloween, man. Thanks for being here finally. As mentioned, I know we've had a lot of things going on this Saturday night. But, Furman, maybe give us your thoughts here about being a part of the network. And we're kind of, in a way, reliving the past a little bit. Of course, us coming over, me, more so John and myself coming over to the network back in July, of course, with myself and Isaiah and John doing Wild Sports Talk coming over here. And, again, being a part of a very amazing outlet and a very great platform. Furman, give us your thoughts about being a part of the team, but also as well helping us out on No BS every Friday as well.
Well, first off, happy Halloween, guys. Well, I'm really excited to always, have my opportunities to join this network and be able to speak every week and also discuss on a lot of opinions and new topics, whether it's sports related or not. So, really appreciate that Isaiah has set up a really great segment. Really great segments for No BS, and just being able to invite guests over as well as have me over occasionally, to join this network and speak on a lot of topics. And I really enjoy discussing Pigskin Pick'ems every week, and also discussing all the Power Five segments. These are what makes this is what makes No BS a really great show, for everyone, including us and also the audiences. And I also came into a similar boat as Isaiah and Trevor. I think we just talk a lot about about our own opinions on sports matters and other things that we enjoy or we don't enjoy, and a lot of that factors in. And as it becomes as there are more people in our group chats, more people in discussions, it has to become a big thing. It has to become not just a simple phone call, and an entire thing just evolved into a lot of different shows for our MI6 Sports Network, including we used to have quarantine chats. That's what I used to be a part of. And then Steven, Isaiah, and I had great talks there. But moving on to No BS, that this was also a great network set up by Isaiah, and I really appreciate it. We have a lot of fun talking about everything, and I think most of the time, especially in group chats or even personally, we get into these debates a lot, and we end up kind of setting each other up for like bets, and I think that's where all the fun begins. We kind of try to out debate each other, and yes, sometimes both Isaiah and I, and even others like Steven, we could make some really outlandish claims or comments about a certain thing that that we're strongly opinionated or favoring, and that becomes a huge debate for everybody, especially in the group chats. And I think that's what I find really entertaining. So I'm glad that we got that part. We included all of those parts, at least the controversial topics. We put that out there as polls for everybody to decide, who they favor or who they don't favor, and that has become a big part of the show. And I really enjoy hearing everybody's opinions and analysis on that.
We finally, folks, have Judge John Mathis back with us. John, don't feel, please not feel bad, buddy. We have, you know pretty well, man, about all these damn technical difficulties you have to sit through. But John, I kind of in a way touched base on it. I'll let you go further in depth though. But you had approached me, I think, back in May or June to kind of start a podcast, and we had kind of done McClurgan Mathis for a couple of weeks, or every so often on like a Tuesday afternoon, just to kind of get our feet wet, kind of get our chemistry down and stuff like that. Then, of course, we take an offer to start a podcast on a different platform. It goes well for 3 weeks, but then we see Steven and Isaiah, or, Isaiah says, well, hey, I have friends that have this other platform out there that we'd love to have you guys join because of the team chemistry and, the fun that we were having and stuff like that. And, of course, John, we come over here, though, and, I don't want to, toot my horn or toot your horn, but probably this may have been like maybe the biggest blessing in disguise so that we – left a former affiliate to come here, though, because now, man, it's been a very, amazing last several months, though. John, more so kind of give the viewers the rundown of how you and I kind of got linked up with the podcast and also how WST became born and also came over here to the Six.
Well, before I was rudely interrupted by technical difficulties, I will gladly go into that. I ran across you, Colin, through social networking. I believe you added me as a friend. You saw my work. You shared with me on multiple occasions how much you admired my writing. And I would comment back and say, I totally appreciate it. Then I started watching you because I was amazed by your talent and your ability to be a great sportscaster that you are. And, I was just greatly inspired by your voice and your work and the talent that you put on display. It's just simply amazing, and you're like that now. And so as I started watching you as time went on, it inspired me to reach out, and not only to do more for myself, but to reach out to you and to ask you if you would be willing to do a podcast with me, because I'm the type of person who likes to surround myself with successful people. And I saw how very successful you were. And I said, maybe if I reach out to Colin and maybe if I do some work with him, this can help me grow as a podcaster and help me improve tremendously in what it is that I wanted to do. And rightly so, it did. So that's how we kind of linked up. I believe people cross paths for a reason. I do believe that people meet up for a reason. We meet people for a reason. And I was glad to meet all of you guys. And then once we started doing our podcast, we was just doing it on the fly. We was just doing it for fun. When you and I started doing it together, that's when I became good friends with Isaiah. Isaiah had added me as a friend, and he even messaged me privately and said, I like your work and I would love to have you on the show. And that's when him and Steven both had me on Quarantine Talk, which was a very fun episode. And after that, that's when I was inspired to work with Isaiah and Steven and the rest of the MI6 network. And it's been a fun adventure. It's been a fun ride. And that's how Isaiah and Colin and me, that's how Wild Sports Talk came about, because I reached out to both of you guys and said, hey, would you guys be willing to do this show? I think we can do big things with it. I think that we will grow as a team. And look where it's gotten us. It's gotten us far. And I always believe in working with people who are successful. At first, I was a little bit hesitant because I've done this before with people and they would flake out on me, or they would take my idea and run with it and not include me. And so at first I was kind of hesitant. I was kind of afraid of taking this leap. But you know what? I have no regrets, and I'm glad I did, because I met so many wonderful people. Everyone on this panel is just amazing. Every one of you guys are just talented, and it's a pleasure to be able to work with every single one of you.
Some comments, or at least one comment, guys, or two comments trickled in during this segment. Chrissy says that the pandemic allowed her to find the network, and also Angel said that he was on Fan Response 3 weeks ago, and I had fun, which is all that really matters. Stephen, before we actually wrap up for the night, again, sadly, folks are not going to be able to be joined by Ryan Schreiner or Martin Garcia probably tonight. But again, big props to Furman Lee for dropping in at pretty much the last moment here on the program. But Stephen, I want to go back over to you, though, buddy. More so because I kind of talk about this a lot, though, when I talk about this particular network in general, bud, we actually just lost Stephen, as a matter of fact. But Trevor, I'll go to you because you're next closest to me pretty much on the row of host here that we have for our host view. But Trevor, I talk about this a lot, though, when I do, in fact, touch base or talk about the network and how it's been since July, though. But, John hit the nail on the head, though, Trev, in regards to, sometimes you're a part of a podcast and it probably flames out after 5 months or 5 years, or it doesn't really go that far because either, ratings aren't good, people aren't tuning in, things aren't going right. There's internal fighting going on, maybe. As John said, you get a great idea and someone else takes it and runs with it and stuff of that caliber and nature. With that in mind, Trevor, I always say, though, man, that I don't think I've ever been a part of a, something that, as a reminder, folks, but something that we are not paid to do. We're not paid to be here 7 days a week to give you guys our thoughts and our takes and, make you laugh or make you cry or make you want to punch your computer screen to what we're talking about. But Trevor, I don't think I've been a part, though, of a project that has had so much, that has so much team, continuity and chemistry for an unpaid endeavor that we're doing, unpaid project. But there's, group chats, like Furman said, to talk about, what to do or, just to debate sports. But also, like with Steve and myself, though, it's more so, hey, we got an idea to do this, or we have a guest coming on, stuff like that. Trevor, how is it, though, to kind of be a part of something like this, though, where, again, it's an unpaid thing right now. But again, though, just being a part, though, of this, of the, the amazing chemistry, though, that has actually been a part of this network, again, as mentioned, where anyone's idea is pretty much open or fair game, and no one should feel bad to not speak their mind about what they think we should or should not do here on this network.
I think this network alone has definitely has enriched our friendships over the past few months. And I think it's more of how Steven was able to bring a group of people together. I want to say it's almost like the Avengers, how he ended up finding literally everybody in MI6 network and just starting you see what I did there, Callan. He's able to bring everybody together, and the span across the time that he was at OSU, connecting the dots. And I think I believe the last friend he ended up meeting at OSU before he ended up graduating. So it's I was the last piece. So I was the quote unquote, Captain Marvel to the piece of the, Steven, Steven, cinematic universe in that sense. So I don't really have a part until, now, but now I became the six-man Williams, been a part of everything ever since. So I'm like in the next phase of the Steven's MCU universe. So I'm very, proud about it. But having the structures we have is just like we're all friends here and we're all doing it because we enjoy sports and just taking the time saying we can do this and make people enjoy their day and take funny takes and crop that out and post it on social media like all of our favorite YouTubers we see or social media influencers. It's like saying, hey, we can do that. We're just like them. And we're just ordinary guys having a great time on podcasts. And look, we have over 4,000 likes, over almost 1,400 views on all of our, plays for our accounts. It's perfect. It's just like you can't ask for anything better for a group of people who are willing to work with you and help you improve your aspect in becoming a better individual. I think that's the best thing about the MI6 network.
Matt, as you said, though, man, you've probably not been a part of too many programs here with us on the network, as mentioned, in regards to, maybe just a couple of appearances, though. But again, Matt, you probably hear a lot, or you probably have seen a lot of, maybe the banter in the chat box or in our group chat. And then you see maybe all the calls that go on like at 11 o'clock on the West Coast, probably like 2 o'clock your time. But Matt, when you see this kind of, chemistry, continuity going on where, again, someone may have a great idea at like 2 o'clock in the morning and someone will put it out there for those of us to wake up to, and we probably say yes or no. But again, though, Matt, probably in a way, is there like anything you can probably add, though, in regards to how, in fact, it's been, though, maybe seeing, all these strangers across the country come together and really make something that, again, we're not being paid for to do, though, but make this as successful as it can be, though, in such a very short amount of time. What do you got for us?
It's amazing how well you guys all gel together. And I mean, there's no in-person contact with any of this. It's just everyone seems to have their ducks in a row and everything just kind of flows smoothly. I mean, moderating and just overall the way that a podcast generally goes, it's very smooth.
Very smooth. Furman, we'll go over to you now, as mentioned. Hopefully we'll get Shareable Steve back, as mentioned, because I wanted to get Steve's thoughts, of course, at this time. With that in mind, though, but again, Furman, again, it's probably been very brief for you being here, but as mentioned, you probably made some appearances across the board. And I know, though, man, that, of course, sometimes you probably exit out of the group chat sometimes because of how your team's playing, or you're just getting tired of all the banter going on in the group chat. But at the same time, though, man, like I said, though, yes, you said it right, though, about, the banter that goes on amongst everyone with their ball clubs and their teams. At the same time, though, maybe, someone has an idea, or maybe it's me dropping in some graphic or a video that I put together, but it's going to be a part of the program lore in regards to, boom goes the dynamite, or John saying, you said what did you say? Or, maybe it's a graphic I've made, or there's, other things that are being shared, though, in regards to, graphics and, ideas are being thrown against this giant storyboard, and we all have our say, though. And again, no one really not feeling ashamed to not give out an idea. But Furman, probably, though, maybe give a bit more insight, maybe, because I think you probably enjoy the group chats more than probably anyone else, though, at this time with the entire network.
At the end of the day, obviously, sometimes the things I say are probably way out of context, but I do enjoy, talking a lot and interacting with everybody in the group chat. And also within the network, I can talk about the same things. But obviously, a lot of the stuff that I'm, reacting on, that's actually happening live. So whenever that's happening right at the moment, I know how you, Callan, you're always, every single time there's like a Chicago Bears game, you're always paying attention to it. Same thing with the San Diego Padres. And I think that feeling of just getting right into that moment,
right,
of those specific games or specific player opinions or performances, it just factors into, how ecstatic you are for your own opinion of something. And I had the same opinions as Isaiah, obviously, on someone like Nick Mullins. He
Yeah.
was supposed to be a really good, backup quarterback for the 49ers, and I was really repping him up. But unfortunately, obviously, he did not play well against the Eagles, and that led me to a huge meltdown in the group chat. The reason why I leave the group chats is not because I'm scared to hear all of your jokes or everything on me, but obviously, I at the end of the day, I just do it for fun, and I just really like to hear everybody's takes, whether or not they agree with it or not. And I might seem like a crazy 49ers fan talking a lot of smack on like Jimmy Garoppolo and praising Nick Mullins on the other hand. These are just really fun ways of getting everybody together in a group chat, not just to be all serious about sports and stuff, but I think one of the biggest influences of this is probably Isaiah, just bringing up a lot of crazy topics. And I don't know if you know about this, Callan, but back when the Rams drafted Jared Goff in his rookie season, Isaiah predicted that they were going to win the division and make the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. And everyone ridiculed him in the group chat and said that he had the most ridiculous response, a ridiculous take on in sports history. But guess what happened? The Rams actually made it to the Super Bowl, and they're still a good team. So a lot of the stuff that that someone may see, it could actually be true. You never know. So I'm just gonna put that out there for everyone that's watching right now.
John, I know that you're probably not the biggest fan of group chats. I mean, other than if it's with me and Isaiah for WST. But again, there's a lot of shenanigans that go on, though. But at the same time, though, John, like we said, though, in regards to you and me, the continuity, the chemistry, things like that across the board, is what's probably not found a lot with maybe other podcast outlets or, sometimes like team sports, though. Sometimes you probably grow tired of teammates every so often if you go through the ups and downs. And I think, John, we've probably been pretty much on a high, but again, there's probably been some lows that we've kind of had to endure and go through. But John, more so, man, other than being on air and all the stuff that we've been doing here, though, man, John, how about your thoughts, though, about how things have been, though, away from, off air in regards, like I said, though, I don't know though if I've been a part of more group calls in regards to setting up a schedule for, scheduling a guest with like Isaiah, lining up guests, actually talking about what we're going to talk about on a program, post show, like, hey, what could we have done better? This or that, great show, maybe work on this though. But John, not just about the banter that goes on, but John, how about more so the actual serious part of the group chats though, where he actually, in fact, put our ducks in a row, as Furman and Trevor said, or Matt even said though. But in regards though to, as mentioned, lining up guests, going over topics, prepping before the program, and also more so afterwards too about what we're going to do for the next program and the next program after that.
I think that's what helps develop chemistry. I think that's what brings us closer together as co-hosts. The number one thing that you need to have if you're going to have a successful podcast is communication. And that is something that we have is communication. We communicate well. We prep before the show. We get each other's opinions on what we think we should talk about for the upcoming show, which is always good because everyone might want to have a take on something, and it's only fair for all of us to say, hey, should we talk about this, or should we bring this up in the next show, or how are we going to break this down? How will we present the question to our viewers, and how will we debate this topic? I think what that does, that brings us closer together as friends. I think that helps with so much. It's a great way to, like I said moments ago, to develop chemistry. You have to have great chemistry, and I think us three, we mushed so well together that it became more than just a podcast. It became a friendship and a healthy relationship among all of us, and it's great. Not only did we create something for audience and sports fans, but we created a friendship
that seems to be intact, and that seems to be that has been an amazing friendship since we've put together this podcast and since this network has been up and running.
Isaiah, I think Judge Mathis again hit the gavel right on the head, though, man, in regards to the, I would probably take it a step further. It's another family you have, not just friends, but a family you have, and I have my work family with hockey and indoor soccer, both my colleges, my lacrosse family, but now I have another podcast family, and I've been involved with podcasts across the board. With plenty of things with either women's basketball. I've done other podcasts, trying to be a motivational speaker and stuff like that when I was kind of getting out of high school. But Isaiah, it's not just in regards to, the friendships that you start, but also it's that family atmosphere you also have, though, where, as I said, though, you can bring up an idea, again, put it on the big storyboard we have. And as mentioned, everyone can give their thoughts about it. But Isaiah, more so, give us your thoughts more so about the family aspect, as mentioned, again, the group chats and the pre-show calls, the post-show calls, all the other stuff that does go on. But more so, like I said, though, Isaiah, it's more so of a family feel in my mind than it is just a regular, ordinary friendship or acquaintanceship.
Yeah, you completely hit the nail on the head, Cal. And this is a family network. We are all like a second family here. We may agree or disagree on some topics regarding sports, but at the end of the day, nobody takes it personally. Nobody really takes it to heart, and that's what's good about it. And everybody has their opinion, or has their opportunity to throw out any ideas that they may have. We've had so many ideas thrown up by you, John, myself, Steven, Furman, Trevor. So, and also the calls have been fantastic where we just brainstorm ideas, or we let's say after a show, someone of our network is feeling really bad about their performance on the show. I've done several times, I felt after the show, I feel oh my God, this was my worst performance ever. I stuttered so badly, and I repeated myself a lot, but and then you have you do the call, right? And then you have people in the network just supporting you and helping raise your confidence and reminding you, hey, it's all good, man. You're trying to get better each and every day. And I think that's what I love about this network. And another thing that I love about this network is you guys are okay with me embracing wacky stuff. Who dresses up in a Santa outfit in Halloween?
Other than Isaiah Leung, definitely love it.
Right.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas for sure. A couple thoughts here, guys. Casey King with a game break. The Wolfpack of Nevada Reno take down the Rebels of UNLV 37-19 to win the Fremont Cannon between the two schools as Nevada goes to 2-0. UNLV now 0-2 on the season. Again, they were plastered by San Diego State just a week ago in Carson, California. David Rivera writes in, a podcast can also create a bond as well. As mentioned, again, that friend, more so in my mind, again, the family atmosphere, more so than the actual friend or acquaintanceship. And also Casey saying, Isaiah moved in from his garage. And also,
yeah, I did.
And also, Christy says only Isaiah can get away with wearing a Santa hat on Halloween. That's definitely true for sure. With that, folks, we'll finally segue over and wrap things up on this very long program into tonight's final thoughts. Mainly more so because I'm hot, and also as well, my face is really itchy from this makeup I've had on for the past almost 3 hours. Trevor, we'll start with you, though, buddy, for final thoughts for the night's program. What do you got for us?
I've crossed in the daylight savings. I saw the 1:59, and then I go to our chat that we have on the podcast, and you see it turn back to 1 a.m. So it's like I'm in the twilight zone now. So I am past God. Past God at this point. So, when we wrap up, I'm going to sleep like a baby, and, can't wait for, no BS this Friday. So, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we're back, folks, on Friday with No BS. With that in mind, Furman Lee, over to you, buddy. Final thoughts for the night's program are what, sir?
Well, I joined this program late, so unfortunately, the only thing I have left to talk about is what I have here. I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are wondering why I have a Bills jacket when I'm a 49ers fan. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll be a Bills fan for 1 week starting now because the Bills have a pretty good schedule, pretty good upcoming schedule that I'm seeing right now. They're playing the Patriots tomorrow, and then they're going to play the Seattle Seahawks and the Cardinals in the following games. So, for once, I'm actually rooting for the Bills. They had a great start with Josh Allen, and I mean, things haven't been going well for their offense in the recent games, but I still think they got a pretty good shot at this division in the AFC West, I believe. And just for today, it's not very cold right now in the Bay Area, NorCal, but I'm assuming it's like freezing cold. It's probably like ice cold weather in New York right now. So I got this penguin hat and a huge leather jacket just to represent the Bills Mafia. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't have a huge table in front of me, but I'll just represent the fans for a few seconds right here.
Yes.
You guys see that? Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go Bills, man.
Yes.
You guys
Break that
gotta
table.
beat Seattle, beat Arizona as well. You gotta help the
Nice.
49ers take the NFC West. All right.
Break that table. At least break the paper table as with that. By the way, kick-ass jacket there. Furman.
$25,000 for the plaintiff.
Sold. Judge Mathis with the final gavel on that offer. Over to the Santa Claus hat wearing Nick Mullins. Isaiah, what do you got for us for final thoughts tonight, sir?
My final thoughts is that this has got to be one of the best programs that we have ever done on the MI6 Sports Network. I mean, my God, it's been what, three hours, Kellen? 2 hours?
2 hours
something?
and count. 2 hours, 40 minutes and counting.
It says 2 hours 41 minutes, but it feels like it's only been like an hour. This program flew by so quick, man. Like, it's been so much fun talking sports with you guys, reminiscing about our experiences here on the MI6 Sports Network, eating all that buffet that I had prepared. It's just been a fun show. I want to thank all of our viewers once again for watching the show and giving us so much love and so much support. We really, really appreciate it. Also, I'm going to let Callan announce this after I'm done with final thoughts, but we've got a very special show planned for you guys on Monday, so make sure you guys keep tuning into this show to find out what that is. But my final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, my final thoughts is that it's something that I want to echo that I said earlier. Ward Manuel and the Michigan Athletic Department, it's time to put the hammer down, or the gavel, like my guy Judge Mathis has. It's time to put the gavel down and end this Jim Harbaugh nightmare. Get him out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's time to move on. I don't care whoever you hire. It's time to end this experiment, man. It is not working. It is time to stop paying this crook $7-8 million to keep losing. I think you can do better, Michigan. Go hire whoever you want, but it's time to move on from Jim Harbaugh. I'm so sick each and every year of always hyping up Michigan. I apologize to Ohio State for with that ridiculous take that I had on Wednesday about how Ohio State should be trembling after Michigan beat Minnesota. I look like a complete idiot for that one, so I completely apologize. Hey, Ward Manuel, it's time to fire Jim Harbaugh and cut your losses, man. It is over. Get him out of here ASAP. Fired. Fired.
And finally, folks, last but not least, Judge Mathis has the final panel, final thoughts. Mr. Judge Mathis, first unmute yourself, buddy, but give us your final thoughts for the night's program. Judge Mathis, what do you got in store?
Yes, $25,000 for the plaintiffs.
Dismiss.
$25,000. No, but in all seriousness, tonight is Halloween. For those who are out partying, having a good time, hopefully you guys are safe and follow all the rules that's been put in place. This is a pandemic year. Remember that. Please social distance. Practice social distancing. Please wear your mask wherever you go. Even if it's not part of your costume, wear your mask. I know it's a unique year, but just follow all the guidelines and just follow all the orders, please, so everyone can stay safe. Remember, it's not about you, it's about the person that's standing next to you as well. And even if you're young and you could fight off this virus and you could beat COVID 19, maybe your grandmother or someone who is more vulnerable to the virus might not be able to shake it off. So think about them. And remember, it's not only about you. Also, please, for those who like to drink, do it responsibly. Don't get behind the wheel drunk. Do not drink and drive. Be smart. There's Uber and Lyft. That's why we have it. If you need to get home, call an Uber or Lyft, or stay the night at someone's house, or just get a ride home. Do not drink and drive. Those are my final thoughts for tonight.
And that is the law from Judge Mathis. I'm going to go back to Isaiah. What on earth are you wearing, man?
Hey, first of all, this is a nice tie-dye shirt, Santa hat. I said, you know what? No more Nick Mullins. We're at the 3 hour, or we're almost at the 3 hour mark. Everything has completely gone off the rail. I am now a swaggy Santa for Halloween. That's what I am. I've decided on my costume. I did come up with something, didn't I, Cal and John? I at the last minute, I came up with something. Swaggy Santa. But I also want to remind the folks out there, make sure you guys turn your clocks an hour back tonight, because tonight is daylight savings time. So please turn your clock back an hour. I don't want people, thinking that it's like 5 or it's like 7 a.m. when it's actually 6 a.m. or missing something because they thought that it was like not that time. So set your clocks back, everybody.
Yes, we gain an hour, actually.
Gaining it up.
With that, folks, my final thoughts. I put the mask back on for Judge Mathis, as mentioned, but more so my face has been killing me with this. I got it today and got this pocket knife, as mentioned. But but as mentioned already here on the program tonight, again, thanks to the whole gang for dressing up tonight and for all that good stuff. And follow the rules. Otherwise, Hydra will attack you with a pocket knife, as I already mentioned earlier on in this program. But again, folks, final thoughts. Again, thank you all again for sticking it out with us here, as we've already have talked about plenty of times. Again, probably the longest show now, probably, in all of the network programming history here. But again, thanks to the usual suspects. And again, thanks to everyone for, again, diving in and giving us their thoughts and keeping us sane. And also, again, for your outstanding love and support as this network continues to thrive and grow. With that, folks, a very cool announcement as we get back to regular programming starting up on Monday. But, of course, we have the night shift on Sunday night at 10 o'clock Pacific time with myself and Isaiah. But, of course, folks, Monday, very special program. Here's the announcement coming your way. This is actually, folks, courtesy of Isaiah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I know the consensus pick is the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they have the best quarterback in the NFL. I know they have the best coach in the NFL and Andy Reid. I know they just won a Super Bowl, but I don't care. I am going with the Denver Broncos.
Well, the club was structured for 108 years. Well, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they don't ever win a World Series or get to the playoffs. I don't care. This team got to the playoffs 8 straight years. Winning NL West for 8 straight years, and they still have not cashed in to win a freaking World Series. And part of the reason is because late inning, and then you have crap like this happening in the day when they can't get the freaking final out.
So there you have it, folks. It is going to be a debate-style, electoral-style program coming your way, folks, on the MI6 Sports Network, starting up, as mentioned, on Monday night at 7:30 p.m. We're still working the kinks out here for this program, as mentioned, but again, it'll be Isaiah and John and probably a third party. I'm guessing it'll be either Martin Garcia or our buddy Matt Soltis joining us on the program that day for the election style program. I was actually, folks, writing out the new crawling message. But as mentioned, pretty much, folks, a debate / electoral style program with live viewer voting, as much as we already do it here, folks, already on the either on No BS or with Stephen with the poll questions. But again, a legitimate night before the election style program, talking all things sports. But again, voted on by you, the viewers. We'll have your say on who wins each topic in each debate. We're, again, folks, going to have all those kinks worked out, hopefully, come Monday. But again, folks, MI6 Decision 2020 comes your way on WST Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, back here on the MI6 Sports Network. So again, folks, it'll be a very great night to elect the king of sports debating on this network come Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Some final thoughts, guys, that trickled in here throughout the course of the program. As mentioned, Christy said that only Isaiah can get away with wearing a Santa hat on Halloween night. David agrees with Isaiah, saying, I also have made mistakes before, too, when I first started doing my own interviews and gotten somewhat overwhelmed. That happens to the best of us, and believe me, that happens to me quite often as well. Also, Christy said, my final thoughts. Such a fun show tonight. Casey says, great show, everybody, as always, and look forward to seeing to tomorrow's games and, of course, seeing the Rams and also seeing the night shift. But as a reminder, with him living in Arizona, it's still a 11 o'clock start time because they don't change their clocks like we do here on the West Coast or in the Pacific time zone or wherever you may be, in fact, joining us. But we'll still be tuning in, and let's go Rams tomorrow. Enjoy your day, and see you guys on the night shift tomorrow. So we all agree, folks, with that in mind. How about, though, folks, as mentioned, want to, again, everyone, thank you all again sincerely and humbly for, again, joining all of us here. Nice to, again, see the guys dressed up in some capacity. Of course, Trevor had just come from a OSU watch party, so that's why he was called Ohio State's #1 fan throughout the course of our program. But, of course, a major shout-out again to Trevor, Furman, Isaiah, Mr. John Mathis, and as well, of course, Shareable Steve, and also as well to Matt for joining us tonight, and also a major shout-out to as well to Shree, and also a other shout out to both Martin and Ryan, again, who cannot join us tonight, again, due to prior obligations before or for tonight's program. With that, though, folks, in mind, for Trevor Williams, Furman Lee, Isaiah Leung, John Mathis, Shree Annan, and our producer, Shareable Stephen Wayne, Cal McClurg saying goodnight from San Diego. We'll leave you, though, folks, with one last look at our Halloween Spooktacular trailer that was aired throughout the course of the last several weeks here on the live stream. But again, folks, we'll see you back here on Sunday for the night shift. And of course, a brand new week starting coverage on Monday. But of course, programming on Sunday at 10 o'clock Pacific time back here on the MI6 Sports Network. But again, folks, one final time, one parting shot. The MI6 Halloween Spooktacular trailer. One final time here, folks. Have a good rest of your night. Take care. Stay safe and stay healthy. And so long. Till next time, folks. Good night. Bye-bye.